bluntly, that sucked. That entire weekend.
Okay.
Well, Radio Man in the intro there was just telling you about the Eagles getting handed their first loss of the season, losing to the Broncos yesterday, 21-17. But the Phillies also lost game 1 of the NLDS on Saturday. Both teams decided to do the same thing, blow a lead, and never come back and look lifeless at the end. And that's what happened Saturday night against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and that's what happened yesterday against the Denver Broncos. So an 0-2 weekend. Phils look to even the series tonight. We got you covered. There's a lot of stuff to unpack from Saturday night, from yesterday afternoon, and, of course, to preview in an absolute must-win game because, spoiler alert, if the Phillies go down 2-0 to the Dodgers going back to L.A., they ain't got a shot in hell to win that series. All right, so let's start with, I don't know, you pick, because I have a question for everybody, Johnny, because this is one of those days where if somebody wanted to just text in or call in or YouTube in or whatever, go ahead. Go ahead.
We'd love to see it.
This is one of these days for you, right? Like, we just have the microphones, but this is one of these days where the collective city of Philadelphia, the Tri-County area, needs to vent because we saw a lot of things play out Saturday that we didn't want to see, and they went with those decisions, and it didn't help. And then yesterday, after Tweetgate, we're wondering, all right, can they get on the same page? And you quickly found out that they couldn't. Again, do we have problems is my question.
Oh, yeah.
Just the overall question, because I know this is a day where you could just come in and vent and we'll be fine with it, but you always got to ask the question at the beginning of the show. So my question is, do we have problems? You can then take that any way you want. You can take that to the Phillies, whether it's the manager, whether it's the Pobo, whether it's the players, whether it's Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner at the top of the lineup, or you could take it to the Eagles, whether it's the offensive line, whether it's A.J. Brown giving up on a route, whether it's Kevin Patullo not having a feel for the game, whether it's the Eagles being handed their first loss of the season. You go, all right, 4-1 record is good, but this is coming off of a tumultuous, dramatic week that we had to deal with because of Tweetgate, which is why we said it was a counterproductive thing to do. Even though we all saw it, we all agreed that the offense needed to get better. And for a glimpse, it looked like maybe it was going to get better yesterday because, look, you were playing against a good Broncos defense. You weren't going to score 35 points yesterday, but at least you saw glimpses. And then those glimpses just vanished. It's as if I was just having a good dream, and then my alarm went off at 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, all right, it's time to get to work. Good morning, Johnny. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm on one today, brother.
Look, we're all one. We're all feeling it right now. We're all involved in it. I mean, I was in the building for both. I was in the very quiet buildings for both, by the way. Very quiet, tame, understated buildings for both, which really disappointed me, which might be my, biggest takeaway disappointment from the entire weekend is that both buildings, when the games were in the balance, were very quiet, very tame, which really disappoints me. Look, I put on my Phillies red this morning. I'm still all in, but I get it. I get the disappointment. Saturday night sucked. And once again, it's what I have reiterated over and over again, like with the manager, that the things that don't matter in July and August and September, they matter when matters most because the guy doesn't have a feel. And then yesterday, the things with the Eagles, they try to tell you that the whole problems with Kevin Patullo and everything, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Things aren't like 2023. It doesn't matter. Everything's okay. And you even got members of the media trying to convince you this Patullo thing doesn't matter. It's not a big deal until it matters. And it does matter. And yesterday's defense, the defense lost a game yesterday for them because the offense, again, couldn't do their job in the second half.
That's back-to-back weeks where the defense can't breathe.
Can't do the defense.
No time.
The offense could not do its job again in the second half. Given a big lead. The offense just doesn't understand. They have no basic understanding. And thankfully, offensive players are speaking their minds. And I'm not talking to Diana Rossini.
Right.
By sending cryptic text messages and whisper down the lane. I got to tell you, I'm disappointed in veterans that are on these teams for different ways. For the Phillies, it's performance. For the Eagles, it's behavior. And right now, it's just it's a bad Monday morning, and there was a full moon when I pulled in the parking lot. Did you open your wallet?
No, I did not.
I tried to tell you.
I did not. I believe we have problems. Now, look, problems.
Those are a ton of problems.
Problems can be fixed.
Yeah,
right? There is such a thing as problem solving. So when I start the show with, we have problems.
Yep.
That's not me saying that the Eagles are going to finish, 4-13. And I don't think the Phillies are dead. Do I like their chances? No. If you listen to the show on Friday and you followed us on social media Saturday throughout the day, I thought they needed game one a lot more than the Dodgers needed game one. So you may now feel or know how I feel about how the series is going to play out. But problems can be fixed. But let's address the problems. The Phillies, once again, in another playoff, got tight. And I know it's just game one.
Tight.
But the Phillies, as you see, and we've seen before, and I know this is one of those, you can't really judge this. There's no statistic for it. Maybe there is. The clutch gene, I know there's stats out there for everything. But the Phillies are front runners, all right? When they're in the lead and things are going great, they can pile on, even though they didn't pile on. But look, they're facing a good pitcher in Shohei Ohtani. They did their job against Ohtani. But then as soon as the Dodgers come back, they got tight, which is why going back to that Mets series when they got swept, and you were on vacation, Johnny, it wasn't that I thought the Mets were like now all of a sudden going to go on a roll for the World Series. Connor, if you remember, I straight up said the Phillies team, they struggle when the lights are brightest, and that was a big light series. Now they came back and swept the Mets later on, and all was beautiful. But we know this team. We saw it in 22, 23, last year, and then Saturday night. When things get tough, they get tight. And you see the lineup get too tight. You see the pitching staff get too tight. It happens over and over again with this team. That's one of the problems that I want to address.
We got even one of our own crew members. And I just got to address it because we got one of our own crew members, our man Dylan McKinnon, who's very positive.
Love Dylan.
Dylan's a great guy, and he's very, very positive. But again, even like on Saturday night, people getting on Harper and Schwarber, and you guys are just crazy because these guys are not a problem.
1 for 11.
No. These are worse. This is going to get it worse for you. Since the Phillies were up 2-0 against the Arizona Diamondbacks, since they left the building that night in the 2023 NLCS, you know what Bryce Harper is in the postseason for the Phillies? He's 7 for 32. You know what Kyle Schwarber is? He's 7 for 35. You know what Trey Turner is? He's 5 for 37. So stop quoting me stats that take into consideration all the things the Phillies did when it was going better. Since the Phillies were up 2-0 in the NLCS in 2023, Harper, Schwarber, and Turner are a collective 19 for 104, batting 183.
That's not good.
So stop telling me that Schwarber's not a problem. Harper's not a problem. Look at their numbers. Turner's not a problem. Yes, they're all big problems. So you asked, do we have problems? When Harper's 7 for 32, Schwarber's 7 for 35, and Turner's 5 for 37, yes, Andrew Salciunas, we have problems. 3 of them at the top of the order, because when the lights are brightest, no, Harper, Schwarber, and Turner are letting down the Phillies. Can they come back? Sure, because they've shown us in the past.
Problems can be solved.
Turner has not shown us that. Turner has not shown us in his Phillies career that he really can do it. But we'll see about the others. We'll see if Harper and Schwarber can turn it around.
And then Eagles problems. You mentioned it. Diana Rossini. Sources are talking.
Yeah,
But unfortunately, in game, we found out yesterday players are not. Man, there's a lot to unpack, and if you just want to vent, we're here for you.
Absolutely.
610-632-0975. Now, coming up next, I know social media was buzzing about the officials yesterday. I know.
Oh, yeah.
We have the official poll report about yesterday's calls and non-calls. And then I would like to have a statement. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Whether you're at the job site, sitting in your cubicle, or even working from home.
it's been less than, I don't want to say impressive, but like it leaves you wanting more. It leaves you wanting more of the offense. It leaves you with the defense saying, yeah, they're not really getting to the quarterback. I would have to look at it and say, this is the best case scenario for where the Eagles are. The Eagles could possibly start the season. They haven't lost the game, and the players, the coaches, the fans, I don't think there's anybody that's associated with the Eagles right now that feels like they're playing great football. And they don't think that they don't have to play better if they're going to win another Super Bowl. So guess what? They're not satisfied. I'm not satisfied as a fan. The coaches sure as hell aren't satisfied, offensively and defensively. And the players can't be satisfied as well. And they're 4-0. And by the way, they're the best team in the NFL. And I don't think it's particularly close. So you legit get pleasure out of watching the Mets fall apart at the end of the season again?
I mean, doesn't everybody? I think it's funny. It's something to laugh about. But, I mean, when you play in the NL East for 10 years and you got to listen to Mets fans, for that whole time, and now in horse racing up at Saratoga, they still like to run their mouths. So it still brings me joy to laugh at them.
Yeah, Jason, those times looking back where it's not often the Mets and the Phillies are good at the same time, right? And you experienced a little bit of that in the early portion. And those fans come down and they invade Citizens Bank Park, and they are so loud and obnoxious. And that was the beginning. We hadn't seen championship baseball in Philly since the 80s. And you guys ushered that back in. Just what a time to be alive, man. When you think about those days, because you came to Philly, you hadn't become the Jason Worth that we know right now. What's it like when you think about those days?
Yeah, well, look, I had a good start in L.A. my first year, and then I got hit in the wrist my first game of spring training in 2005, and didn't play, had surgery, didn't play all of 2006, and then I come to Philly in 2007, and I'm literally barely make the team. And it took Shane Victorino and
Aaron Rowan.
No, God, I'm drawing a blank. Took two guys to get hurt on the trade deadline for me to even get a chance to play. And then, Charlie Still was a little apprehensive to get me in there, but I played so good in August of 2007 when we really started our first run, and that was kind of my when I had a chance to play and coming out, and that's when we started to run down the Mets. So there was that big series at home, the 4-game series where we swept them, and that's when, for me, that's when Philly really came back alive with baseball, and it was that team that ultimately the next year won the World Series and ran down the Mets 2 years in a row. So that's where the whole kind of rivalry started. But you're right, they would come down, they'd invade Citizens Park, they're obnoxious. You go up there and you play 12 games a year up there, and you got to listen to them run.
Well, the answer is yes, but what problems are they? And if you want to say which problems you think are worse, feel free. And if you just want to vent after this horrible, crappy weekend where both teams, the Phillies in NLDS Game 1 and the Eagles in Week 5, both blew a late lead and were both handed losses. Now, the Eagles can recover a little bit quicker. The Phillies have to recover tonight. Yeah. They have to recover tonight.
Philly's got to get moving.
So the official the reporter pool with the members of the media and the referees took place after the game, as they always do. This is nothing new. It's just, obviously, there were a lot of people on social media yesterday upset with some calls and non-calls, picked up flags, you name it. So I want to read a couple of the comments from Adrian Hill, who was the crew chief for yesterday's game between the Eagles and Broncos. The intentional grounding pickup. Now, I will say I did not agree with picking up the grounding flag. And again, I will get to a statement eventually. I do not agree with the referees picking up the flag. Quote, what happened there, we have an 020. That's our official-to-official communication system. My 020 was not working. Grounding is a teamwork foul. I had intentional grounding. The line judge had that there was a receiver in the area. but I didn't hear the information over the 0-2-0, so I threw the flag. The line judge came in and let me know that 28 indeed was in the area, and that's why we picked up the flag.
Bill Colarulo, by the way, calling plays next to me, calling plays. He immediately said, pick up that flag.
Okay.
From our view?
Maybe from your views.
From our view, we're right there. I don't believe it. I mean, I was on the fence a little bit. Bill immediately said, no, that's not intentional grounding. And then we watched the replays, and but he's watching it live, and Bill immediately said, that's not grounding.
The only reason why I didn't agree with it is, okay, so what's like the rule of thumb? 5, it's got to be within 5 yards or whatever.
Well, then it was absolutely within that.
All right. But if the guy's going in the opposite direction of the trajectory of the ball, then
that's not part of the rule.
I understand, but
well, then maybe you can't. Well,
I know.
I don't can't do that.
I don't like it, Johnny.
But well, you not liking the rule doesn't make the rule. That the rule is it's absolutely within the rules. They were right.
Well, Tony Romo on the broadcast absolutely blasted the call, saying, like, there's no way a quarterback can get away with just dumping the ball while he's getting sacked. Like, that's not the spirit of the rule.
Right. Well, spirit of the rule, you can talk spirit of rules all the time. Letter of the law is letter of the law.
I got you.
You can talk spirit and what I feel and feelings. I don't give a damn about feelings. I hate it too. I hate it too because I was literally like not arguing with Bill, but I'm like, nah, I think it's, and then he's convincing me. He's looking at it. He goes, look,
sure,
because it should work.
The illegal shift. Eagles had a 30-yard play, got wiped out. 2 players went in motion, so by rule, when 2 players go in motion, both have to reset for a second before the snap. 1 player stopped, but 26 continued in motion, so that's what created the illegal shift. Yeah, it was an illegal shift. The personal.
By the way, I didn't even understand it when it was called.
Yeah, you can't have 2 guys
Bill
in
and
motion.
but Bill and I were watching it, and we watched it real time and didn't see it.
It was weird.
We didn't see
like
it.
AJ didn't really get set, and Saquon went in the orbit motion.
The whole play was weird.
Sloppy. It was a sloppy play.
Yep.
Yeah.
Zach Bond, the personal foul. I know a lot of people had a problem with this one.
Why?
I didn't.
Why did they have a sloppy? Why did they have a problem with it?
The officials saw we had a prone player on the ground, and he came in and hit the player that was prone on the ground when the play was over. He was still churning, right? But here's what I got to say. I understand when we slow everything down, it goes back to the tush push thing. You can find a penalty on every tush push. Somebody's jumping off sides. There's a false start. Yeah, we have the luxury of watching a slowed down replay of a guy's feet still churning.
Correct.
But in real time, when the guy is a centimeter off the ground and Zach Bond's leading with his head, you're going to get that penalty.
It was dumb. It was undisciplined, and that sort of sums up the way they've been playing this year. Dumb and undisciplined.
Non-defensive pass interference on Dallas Goedert. Quote, our officials saw mutual hand fighting and hand-to-hand combat and did not see action that rose to the level of foul on that play. Look, I understand Nick Sirianni was not happy with that one. I understood Nick Sirianni's frustration. Here's my statement. We can complain about calls all we want because maybe, maybe.
Now, the Goddard one we can complain about all day long.
And,
We're all in
and who
agreement?
knows? The next play could have been a touchdown, and the Eagles are 5-0. And 5-0, we all agree, is better than 4-1, correct?
Yes.
We all agree. I'm not no hot take here.
Yeah.
5-0 is better than 4-1. But here's my statement. It wouldn't have mattered. We would have come in here this morning, despite them being 5-0, saying, wow, they eked out another win, but let's unpack everything. So I don't want people, and I know a lot of people did this yesterday on social media after it was official that the Eagles lost the football game. A lot of people were sort of clouding how bad the game was because of a couple of calls. Bad calls that could have potentially cost the Eagles the game. Right? We don't know. Maybe the next play they do score a touchdown. Maybe they don't. Who knows? But bottom line is, calls or not, the Eagles' offense has a problem. Multiple problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
And officiating would not have changed anything for me with that opinion this morning.
How about this? How many, was it 4 or 5 pre-snap penalties yesterday in the offense?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And then so bottom line is this. You have an offense right now with all of that talent that is so undisciplined, so sloppy, so poorly coached. The play's getting in late, and you can see it again.
Yep.
Getting in late. You hired a man who's learning on the job, who's not ready for the job. Stop trying to convince me that, you got to give him time. No. It's now costing you games. It's costing you games.
Yep.
Are we going to do the Desai thing again? Are we going to do the Brian Johnson thing again? Or are we going to act quicker this time?
Good question. I know a lot of people are watching what happens in Miami. All right, coming up next, there was a recipe to use Saturday night. Now, every good chef uses different recipes. Some may read it from a book. Some may be able to do it by feel. The Phillies decided not to use that recipe, but the Dodgers did, Johnny. One team won, one team didn't. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A miserable weekend. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies with nationwide LTE coverage. For a limited time, get 60% off and free UPS shipping at rapidradios.com. Use code RADIO for an extra 5% off. It was a tough weekend here in Philadelphia. The Eagles taking their first loss of the season. The Phillies dropping Game 1 of the NLDS to the Dodgers. The Eagles fell 21-17 to the Broncos yesterday at the Link. They fall to 4-1 on the season. The Eagles only had 11 rushing attempts in the game and gave up a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. Jalen Hurts spoke after the game about, well, what the Eagles are capable of, but also what they're not doing.
Yeah, it's not a capability thing. We don't have a capability issue. We know what we're capable of. We're just not doing those things yet. But we will. We will.
At least QB1 has confidence, but the Eagles now have a short week as they take on the Giants in New York this Thursday night as they try to get back on track. Phils fell to the Dodgers in Game 1 of the NLDS on Saturday. Game 2 is tonight, 6:08 p.m. Jesus Lazaro versus Blake Snell. Harrison Bader, who was removed from Game 1 due to injury, is potentially available for Game 2 tonight after a clean MRI yesterday morning. In MLS news, the Union won the Supporters' Shield over the weekend, capturing the best regular season record in the MLS. We'll talk to Andrew DeCecco at 7:55, Jeff Francoeur at 9:10. This update is brought to you by Red October, baby. Join Andrew and myself and the Fanatic crew today at Top Tomato on 11th Street for a Corona Red October pregame rally from 4 to 6 p.m. A lot of great deals. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic.
High school sports rockin' Philly, South Jersey, and all the...
It's been less than, I don't want to say impressive, but like it leaves you wanting more. It leaves you wanting more of the offense. It leaves you with the defense saying, yeah, they're not really getting to the quarterback. I would have to look at it and say, this is the best case scenario for where the Eagles could possibly start the season. They haven't lost the game, and the players, the coaches, the fans, I don't think there's anybody that's associated with the Eagles right now that feels like they're playing great football. And they don't think that they don't have to play better if they're going to win another Super Bowl. So guess what? They're not satisfied. I'm not satisfied as a fan. The coaches sure as hell aren't satisfied, offensively and defensively. And the players can't be satisfied as well. And they're 4-0. And by the way, they're the best team in the NFL. And I don't think it's particularly close. So you legit get pleasure out of watching the Mets fall apart at the end of the season again?
I mean, doesn't everybody? I think it's funny. It's something to laugh about. But, I mean, when you play in the NL East for 10 years, and you got to listen to Mets fans, for that whole time, and now in horse racing up at Saratoga, they still like to run their mouths. So it still brings me joy to laugh at them.
Yeah, Jason, those times looking back where it's not often the Mets and the Phillies are good at the same time, right? And you experienced a little bit of that in the early portion. And those fans come down and they invade Citizens Bank Park, and they are so loud and obnoxious. And that was the beginning. We hadn't seen championship baseball in Philly since the 80s. And you guys ushered that back in. Just what a time to be alive, man. When you think about those days, because you came to Philly, you hadn't become the Jason Worth that we know right now. What's it like when you think about those days?
Yeah, well, look, I had a good start in LA my first year, and then I got hit in the wrist my first game of spring training in 2005. And, didn't play, had surgery, didn't play all of 2006. And then I come to Philly in 2007, and I'm literally barely make the team. And it took Shane Victorino and
Aaron Rowan?
No, God, I'm drawing a blank. Took two guys to get hurt on the trade deadline for me to even get a chance to play. And then, Charlie still was a little apprehensive to get me in there, but I played so good in August of 2007 when we really started our first run, and that was kind of my when I had a chance to play and coming out, and that's when we started to run down the Mets. So there was that big series at home, the 4-game series where we swept them, and that's when, for me, that's when Philly really came back alive with baseball, and it was that team that ultimately the next year won the World Series and ran down the Mets 2 years in a row. So that's where the whole kind of rivalry started. But you're right, they would come down, they'd invade Citizens Park, they're obnoxious. You go up there and you play 12 games a year up there, and you got to listen to them run their mouths. So it was sweet to be a Philly back in those days, and I'm proud of what we accomplished. And man, we had good teams, and here we are again with my guys Trey and Bryce are playing in Philly now, and they're kind of towards the end of their careers, and I guess they're still in their primes a little bit. But this is what it's all about, man. This is Philadelphia baseball in October, Red October. Let's go.
You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia. Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibilities. That's Jason Worth. I'm gonna give you play on the horse racing stuff, so don't worry about that because I'm fascinated with what you're doing right now. But yeah, so I was curious about this because we talk about this a lot with your teams, and I know you left you left after 2010, right? That was your final season. So 2007, you make the playoffs, get swept by the Rockies. 2008 World Series. 2009, go back to the World Series, lose to the Yankees, and then 2010, that was the Giants. You had a really good team that year too. That was the Giants loss in 2010. Wait, so all else being equal, and you won a World Series in 2008. What do you believe the best team was? If 2008 played 2009 or 2010 played 2007, of those. Balancing act today. I feel like American Gladiator. When you're at the top of that podium trying to knock the other person off because we got Eagles to break down. We have Phillies to break down. We have NLDS Game 2 to get ready for tonight, which is why it's the most exciting time of the year. But as we said, Johnny, on Friday, this isn't fun.
No, this isn't fun.
Stress and anxiety is exciting. This isn't fun.
Saturday night was not fun.
It's not fun.
I mean, it was stressful and anxiety filled and everything.
Well,
so
you're excited for the build-up, all day.
All the build-up, but
and then the game plays, and you're sitting there on the edge of your seat or standing there holding your Coronas, as Connor and I were at Patty Wax.
By the way, looks like you guys had a great fun time there
until the game started playing. All right, so there was a recipe for the game in Game 1, and John Kincade and I, co-authors of the cookbook.
Yes,
Recipe for Success in Philadelphia Sports. And unfortunately, there were some chefs like Connor Thomas, Ricky Patalico, and many texters.
Yep.
And Rob Thompson, who said, your recipe stinks. That bland-ass food you got there.
You know who was listening to our recipe, by the way, was Dave Roberts, though.
Yes, Dave Roberts.
Dave Roberts was listening to our recipe and used it. He said, wow, this is
like
great.
A good recipe.
Yeah.
So on Friday, we talked about this because Rob Thompson made it clear earlier in the week that he would not be afraid to use his Game 3 starter as a reliever in Game 1. And we all immediately go, all right, so that means Ranger's your Game 3 starter.
So he literally telegraphed that Ranger was the Game 3 starter by saying that comment.
And then
Luzardo was not going to be that guy.
Right. And then Saturday morning it comes out that Luzardo was the Game 2 starter. So you're kind of like, all right, be prepared to potentially see Ranger Suarez tonight. This, going back to Saturday.
Sure.
And there was the opportunity to do it.
Perfect opportunity.
So Christopher Sanchez, 5 2/3 innings, allows 2 earned runs, and the wheels just kind of fell off at the end there. Struck out 8, but they still had the 3-2 lead. David Robertson, credit to him, came in and got out of a jam.
Got the out. 40 years old. Sit down. You got the job done.
Over.
Done. Do what you've done all year long, Rob Thompson, because you have never asked him to get up again and pitch another inning.
Right.
So what is Rob going to do? What's he going to do in the biggest game of the year?
Let's put him back out there.
It continues to confound me. It just continues to confound me. He's going to get the man and go, "No, get up." A man who's so worried about up and downs.
Yeah.
He's so worried about up and downs. He talks about up and downs. He takes out starting pitchers who are much younger, much more spry. He worries about up and downs. He discusses it. And in the biggest game of the year,
You do it with a 40-year-old who, by the way, wasn't on a major league roster until like 2 months ago.
he says, oh, no, we're going to put him out there again. When he knows, by the way, his next move, he telegraphs it afterwards. His next move was Strahm,
Yeah.
where we know that when you give Strahm a clean inning, Strahm is a different pitcher than when you give him inherited runners.
And Rob Thompson at one point was like, well, he did get the job. He struck out Ohtani, which he did. He got Betts to pop out, which he did. But he got to face 3 batters. And Teoscar Hernandez, who hits lefties well, hit Matt Strahm well with a 3-run home run that gave the Dodgers the lead, and the game was over. Now, do we know that if Ranger Suarez goes out there in relief that the game's different? Not entirely sure, but it goes back to our conversation on Friday. And Connor, I know you were very vicious about pushback. You agreed that you would have felt more comfortable with him on the mound, but you were worried about sending a bad message to the bullpen. Now, here's my response to that now that things played out and I have history on my side. I don't freaking care about
that
messages. And here's why. Messages have gone out the window since last year for the Phillies. When this year was do whatever it takes to win, Nick Castellanos becomes a platoon player, messages go out the window. When certain guys lost their job, messages go out the window. And I know Rob Thompson, if he did go to Ranger Suarez, I would imagine that the bullpen would have been okay with it. And here's why. Rob Thompson is so loyal and sticks with his guys all the time. When the whole city, the entire city, wanted Max Kepler DFA'd, he didn't do it. When the whole city wanted Justin Crawford to be called up to replace either a Kepler or a Marsh, they didn't do it. When there were people that were done with JT Realmuto, when there were people that were done with Bryson Stott, when there were people done with Alec Boehm, he and the team were not. So if you have to worry about, well, what if he goes to Ranger Suarez? Maybe somebody in the bullpen might get upset. That man has been so loyal to everybody, sometimes loyal to a fault. And when you needed to win game 1 more desperately than the Dodgers did, you should have gone with a recipe that everybody's more comfortable with and not worry about what the reaction could be in the bullpen.
Gosh.
That's not at all the point that I was making. It's not about the bullpen getting upset. It's you can't win if you don't use your bullpen. Like if you have an unusable bullpen, the team is not good enough.
The Dodgers just did.
The Dodgers did it.
They used 3 starters and won the game, Connor.
Okay, you don't have the Dodgers roster. You don't have guys coming out of the bullpen that are throwing 101 that could also start. Your starters that would come out of the bullpen are throwing 92.
You mean Ranger Suarez, who has been incredibly effective coming out of the bullpen during postseason?
Also, Glasnow's not starting game 3. Like, Roki Sasaki is not starting game 3. It's a different situation for the Dodgers.
He was available for 40 pitches on Saturday. That is incorrect. He was available to throw 40 pitches on Saturday. He could have pitched at least 1 inning, if not 2.
I know he could have, but it's a different situation than what the Dodgers did.
It isn't. It is a guy who we have a proven resume. You don't have with Glasnow that he is an effective reliever. You don't have the resume of success out of the bullpen that you have with Ranger Suarez. So you're making a counter argument that is incorrect. Ranger Suarez has a proven record of being able to come in out of the bullpen and be able to come in critical situations, like a Game 5 of the NLCS.
And you're not.
Close things out.
And here's the deal.
Look,
we're all in agreement, all of us, regardless of this debate, that David Robertson should not have gone back out there for another inning. But, again, it's 6 innings. So we asked for, on Friday, literally, we talked about this. It's crazy how it played out. You ask Ranger to pitch 2. And then you have Duran
Ranger
for the 9th.
pitch 2 and you go to Duran. And the thing is, the manager himself, and this is what drives me crazy, and it is example 985 of Rob Thompson saying one thing and doing another. When he says, my Game 3 starter can be my Game 1 reliever, he's telling us that, I'm thinking about Ranger Suarez being the guy. I'm thinking about using that. Given the opportunity, with a lead, knowing you've got Ranger Suarez, who's already proven to you that he has been very effective doing this for the Phillies in the postseason, with a lead against the Dodgers, he decides, I'm not thinking about that. And then after the game, he's asked the question. I don't remember which member of the media asks in the scrum. And they ask him, did you ever consider going to Ranger Suarez there? No. He gets all snippy. No. Really, Rob? You told us that you were considering your Game 3 starter as a Game 1 reliever. But then, did you ever consider it, Rob? No. One-word answer, snippy answer, move on to the next question. Totally defensive because he choked. He choked. In his decision-making, he knew that he had that in his back pocket, and instead he went, but it might hurt somebody's feelings.
It's not feelings.
It's not just feelings. It's showing.
That absolutely played a part in it.
I'm sure
it absolutely played a part in it.
Strongly disagree.
And look,
Jay's crazy.
The Dodgers say, hey, let's use our better arms.
You can strongly disagree all you want, Connie. You're wrong. He's absolutely, feelings came into that. His feelings about, I've counted on this guy all year, I'm going back to him. Big loyalty. Feeling. That's what loyalty's a feeling.
Sure.
That is. It's a feeling. I feel loyal to you, so I'm giving you that opportunity. It cost them again, just like Game 1 last year against the Mets.
All right, coming up next, we'll check our text line for the first time this morning. YouTube, I see you guys buzzing. Keep on venting, all right? Just get it all out.
I want to hear what they have to say, too.
Hopefully tomorrow's a more jovial show when we start. We'll check the text line. Also, you mentioned Topper. He spoke yesterday, and when things were a little bit more calmed down, he addressed the decision. You'll hear that next as Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Unfiltered with Ricky Bo, Bill Colarulo, and Silvana Kelleher.
Real sports talk.
Well, I'm going to ask you is that I know the amount of people you talk to around the NFL, and I know from the conversations that have been had about this on NFL Live and others, any speculation as to who he's talking about? Not listening to him.
No, I can honestly tell I have not spoken to a single person about that. I honestly have not. We're dealing in injuries on Monday. Yesterday was a day to kind of catch my breath and try on Tyreek Hill. I know it's a big deal in Philly, but on my list of priorities, it was not very high up.
Okay.
So, do you believe? I know it's not mandatory, but do you think the Eagles will maybe make it mandatory for A.J. Brown to address this? Because today's the day where midweek players can speak to the media. Do you believe it will be A.J. Brown Day, and do you believe the Eagles will make it be A.J. Brown Day?
Here's what I would say to that. A.J. Brown's a big boy. He can tweet what he wants and he can say what he wants. I don't think you make him do anything. If he wants to talk, he can talk. If he doesn't want to talk, he doesn't want to talk.
How sports continues to be the greatest reality TV show that there is because it's real life. It's actual real life. It's not scripted. And then guys go on social media after hard-fought wins. First off, what did you make of the tweet? Before we even get to your reporting, what did you make of the tweet by A.J. Brown following a hard-fought win in a place that they have struggled a lot over the years?
Well, only A.J. Brown could fully explain what he meant by that. You tweet something like that after a game and after you win and after you go to 4-0, I think you invite a lot of scrutiny and questions as to what you meant by it. It certainly seems like he's not happy with his production or role in the offense right now. But if you look at it, you look at the tape, they targeted him 9 times. It wasn't like they didn't throw him the football. They did. He's just not producing at the level to which he's accustomed. Something similar happened last year. Wasn't happy with his role, complained, and the team went on a run in the second half, and he was dynamic, and everything worked out great. So I think that it wouldn't be what I would like, but I understand why he does it, and we'll see the intended result of it this week start. I'll bet you they feed him right away this week, right away.
It's driving me nuts, though, Adam, when I hear Kevin Patullo talk about the fact that, we haven't figured out our identity on offense yet. They're the Super Bowl champs with arguably the best offensive toolbox that any team has in the NFL when you look at skill, talent, quarterback, offensive line. How do they not know what their identity is when they're the defending champs and almost everybody's back?
They should know. I mean, we know what they are, right? I think they're a team that runs the football as well or better than anybody. I think they've got a quarterback that could beat you with his arm or his legs, and they've got the ability to beat you throwing the ball as well. Like, they're a multifaceted offense.
I think I don't know if people couldn't sleep. I slept like a baby last night, which I can't believe.
I woke up miserable. Our man MBD,
what's up, MBD?
Who's, chimes in often. Just kind of going back to the David Robertson decision. He said the fundamental problem is that our big dollar hitters again did nothing. I get the Robertson thing too. Basically, what he's saying, and I've read a lot of his comments, like, yeah, we're going to hang on to this Robertson thing, but the top three in the order can't go 1 for 11.
Well, I gave you the numbers in the top three to start the show, and MBD is exactly correct. And again, we have, and like our man Dylan. Dylan's very positive. Dylan's a very positive dude, and it's great. I love that Dylan and fans like him are positive. But when Turner, since Game 2 of the NLCS in 2023, Turner's 5 for 37, Harper's 7 for 32, Schwarber's 7 for 35. So anybody who is trying to give you their career playoff numbers as Phillies to try to tell you, Harper's not a problem, Schwarber's not a problem, look at their playoff numbers, they're great. They're bull crapping you. They are trying to spin numbers of when the Phillies were definitely not intimidated by the bright lights.
Well,
because
that's the big thing.
It's been problems. They're a collective. Those three are a collective 19 for 104, batting 183.
Now, I will point this out because a lot of people are going to hang on to the 1 for 11. Look, it can't happen. But ultimately, you can't blow a 3-0 lead to the Dodgers, especially when Ohtani bets Hernandez. And I know Teoscar had the 3-run home run. They want to combine 1 for 13. They're top 3 in the order.
Yeah.
So they go 1 for 13. Phils go 1 for 11. The thing is, their 1 was a lot more impactful than the Phillies' 1, right? And the 1 for the Phillies was a Bryce Harper single. The 1 for the Dodgers was a 3-run home run. And that's why I will go back to to Rob Thompson and question the decision, because ultimately in the playoffs, every decision, every 90 feet, every pitch is going to matter just that much more. Yesterday, Rob Thompson had media availability before today's game. I don't know why he
because they did a little like walkthrough.
Okay, so Rob Thompson spoke to the media yesterday. Now that the emotions came back down a little bit, he was asked about the decision.
Did he have any emotions? Because Saturday night I didn't know if he was awake.
He said he was angry and just said no.
He was snippy.
Here was Rob Thompson yesterday when asked again about the decision to go to David Robertson and Matt Strahm.
No, I think we played it exactly the way I wanted to play it, and we talked about that situation going into the game. And D-Rob in my mind was the guy to go to there and stay with him, even though he hadn't done an up-down all year. But he's an experienced guy. Felt like he should be able to get through it. And a long at bat to Pahe. And then, unfortunately, they hit batsmen, so that put us behind the 8 ball a little bit. But, like I said, Strahm, for the most part, did his job. He got the strikeout and the pop-up and just made a mistake, just didn't hit his spot. And that's going to happen every once in a while.
Strahm's clean inning numbers, considerably better than when he's asked to come in and inherit runners. You could easily have taken Robertson, done that. And if you're not going to go to Ranger Suarez, which, by the way, was in your head, your plan, but Rob couldn't take his plan in his head and absolutely just pull the trigger and do it. Instead, he goes to Strahm and the rest.
Well, and even going back to Robertson.
Goes to Robertson.
Robertson was
was ridiculous.
That's the number one mistake.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Nobody
ridiculous.
Regardless of how you wish the bullpen played out, right? Whether you wanted to use Ranger or not, sending David Robertson back out
there. He's going to keep. And the thing is, this is what's more annoying, is that he's never just going to say, yeah, I wish I could have that one back.
Yeah.
I'm asking a guy to do something at 40 years old, to do something he hadn't done all year long. Here's what you don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
All right, so our question today, because the Eagles also played yesterday, and the Eagles also blew a lead. They lost 21-17 to the Denver Broncos. The Eagles now 4-1 on the season. Our question, do we have problems? Now, again, problems can be solved.
They can be rich people problems, too.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles have rich people problems.
Yeah, they do. Look at this. Look at that roster. But do we have problems? Yes or no? And the answer is yes. Now, what problems are, number one on your mind? Connor said we have, 7 million text messages coming from totally different areas. So have at it, Connor. I'm not even going to direct you Just what do we got?
All right, our first texter today, no name, but they say, can blame Rob Thompson all you want. Doesn't change the fact your top 3 dudes gave you nothing but a dribbler by second for a single.
Yeah. That's the truth.
No, that can't continue to happen. And that's why on Friday, when we had a topic of, is this the legacy series for this core, I brought up Schwarber. You got, people were thinking about, wow, John's going over the top with Schwarber. I was the one that brought him up. Because
it's ridiculous.
He was, other than the first at-bat of the Mets series last year, he did nothing.
Schwarber has been anonymous, but people are just so... I got it. You bought his jersey.
Well, and
you bought his jersey. He's a fan
MVP
favorite.
Candidate.
You're a great fan of his, and I love it. And gosh, we all love Kyle Schwarber.
And I'm not kicking him off the team.
But it's his playoff performances have sucked. It's been bad. It's terrible. He's 7 for 35. For God's sakes, he's not coming through. It's okay to just be honest and say it. And he looks overmatched.
And look, we all know that one swing of the bat, he can get back to being Kyle Schwarber.
Correct.
Because that's what kind of hitter he can be. We've seen
he can, and you know what? We're all for it, and we're all still rooting for him. We all still want him to be successful.
But 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts in Game 1, it's just not going to cut it.
Yeah, here's the breakdown between the top 3 and the manager decisions as far as playing. You could have won Game 1 with the performance you got from the offense. 1 for 11 included. You're not going to win this series if they do that.
Right,
so losing Game 1 is on Rob Thompson.
Like the Dodgers, again, their top 3 was 1 for 13.
Yeah.
It's just their 1 was a lot more impactful than Bryce Harper's single.
Right, so you lost Game 1 because of the manager and the decisions with the bullpen. You will lose the series because of the top 3 if they don't pick it up.
Yes, absolutely.
And one thing I would like to say to the people with the bats, I get it. And I've shared these numbers yesterday, and I'll share them again, updated this morning. 44%, so almost half, of the postseason games in 2025 have been won by the winning team scoring 3 runs or less. So you got to stop.
Yeah.
You got to stop with the top of the lineup's not doing anything. And all. Look, I understand. We all want more. And we all want more. We all should have more. But 44% of the games have been won scoring 3 runs or less. 3 runs should have been enough to beat the Dodgers, a great team on Saturday night.
All right, hit us up with another text message, Connor.
All right, we also have a check-in on the Eagles from Chris from Northeast Philly. He says, this loss and inconsistency in play 5 weeks into the season falls under the leadership of Sirianni. He's not able to take the wheel and get the offense fixed, and no more Lifetime Achievement Award for Jeff Stoutland. He needs to get the offensive line in line.
Well, I mean, look, Landon Dickerson got banged up again yesterday.
Out of the game.
And
we don't know how Lane's feeling.
Right.
The offensive line looks shaky, and Jordan Mailata didn't have, just from appearances, might not have had his best game either.
No, he didn't.
Shaving the beard was dumb.
Yeah, maybe. All right, coming up next, there was a bad moment on the field yesterday after the same person had a bad moment on social media earlier in the week. We'll talk about that next. You'll hear from A.J. Brown. And also, just a quick reminder of something that was debated heavily probably about a month ago. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5, The Fanatic Sports Update.
2 big losses. I'm Connor Thomas, and it was a tough weekend in Philadelphia with the Eagles taking their first loss of the season and the Phillies dropping Game 1 to the Dodgers at the bank. The Eagles fell 21-17 to the Broncos yesterday at the Link. They are now 4-1. They only had 11 rushing attempts in the entire game, and they gave up a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, inability to run the clock out. Jalen Hurts spoke after the game about what the Eagles are capable of.
Yeah, it's not a capability thing. We don't have a capability issue. We know what we're capable of. We're just not doing those things yet, but we will.
At least quarterback 1 believes in the team, but there are questions right now with that Eagles offense. They now have a short week as they take on the Giants in New York this Thursday night as they try to get back on track. Phillies fell to the Dodgers in Game 1 of the NLDS on Saturday. Game 2 is tonight at 6:08 p.m. Jesus Luzardo faces Blake Snell. Harrison Bader, who was removed from Game 1 due to injury, is potentially available for Game 2 tonight after a clean MRI yesterday morning. And in MLS news, the Union won the Supporter Shield over the weekend, capturing the best regular season record in Major League Soccer. Andrew DeCecco will join us at 7:55. Jeff Francoeur will join us us at 9:10. This update is brought to you by Groundworks, your trained and certified experts for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Well, I'm going to ask you is that I know the amount of people you talk to around the NFL, and I know from the conversations that have been had about this on NFL Live and others, any speculation as to who he's talking about? Not listening to him.
No, I can honestly tell I've not spoken to a single person about that. I honestly have not. Like, we're dealing in injuries on Monday. Yesterday was a day to kind of catch my breath and try on Tyreek Hill. Like, I know it's a big deal in Philly, but on my list of priorities, it was not very high up.
Okay.
So, do you believe? I know it's not mandatory, but do you think the Eagles will maybe make it mandatory for A.J. Brown to address this? Because today's the day where midweek players can speak to the media. Do you believe it will be A.J. Brown Day, and do you believe the Eagles will make it be A.J. Brown Day?
Here's what I would say to that. A.J. Brown's a big boy. He can tweet what he wants and he can say what he wants. I don't think you make him do anything. If he wants to talk, he can talk. If he doesn't want to talk, he doesn't want to talk.
How sports continues to be the greatest reality TV show that there is because it's real life. It's actual real life. It's not scripted. And then guys go on social media after hard-fought wins. First off, what did you make of the tweet? Before we even get to your reporting, what did you make of the tweet by A.J. Brown following a hard-fought win in a place that they have struggled a lot over the years?
Well, only A.J. Brown could fully explain what he meant by that. You tweet something like that after a game and after you win and after you go to 4-0, I think you invite a lot of scrutiny and questions as to what you meant by it. It certainly seems like he's not happy with his production or role in the offense right now. But if you look at the tape, they targeted him 9 times. Like, it wasn't like they didn't throw him the football. They did. He's just not producing at the level to which he's accustomed. Something similar happened last year. Wasn't happy with his role, complained, and the team went on a run in the second half, and he was dynamic, and everything worked out great. So I think that it wouldn't be what I would like, but I understand why he does it, and we'll see the intended result of it this week start. I'll bet you they feed him right away this week, right away.
It's driving me nuts, though, Adam, when I hear Kevin Patullo talk about the fact that, we haven't figured out our identity on offense yet. They're the Super Bowl champs with arguably the best offensive toolbox that any team has in the NFL when you look at skill, talent, quarterback, offensive line. How do they not know what their identity is when they're the defending champs and almost everybody's back?
Well, they should know. I mean, we know what they are, right? I think they're a team that runs the football as well or better than anybody. I think they've got a quarterback that could beat you with his arm or his legs, and they've got the ability to beat you throwing the ball as well. Like, they're a multifaceted offense that has a lot of ways to win. It's not your typical offense. I mean, what's hard to figure out there? I don't get it.
I don't understand it either. I still can't figure it out.
Shefty, when it comes to the A.J. Brown tweet, now I want to start getting your reporting cap on. Have you heard any fallout from the tweet so far at NovaCare? And if you have not, obviously this is not the first time a wide receiver or a player on any football team had said something cryptic on social media or said something cryptic at a press conference. So what could this lead to at some point in a locker room? Because this is not the first time, as you mentioned.
I don't know that it leads to anything in a lot. I mean, everybody's got their own personalities, and people know who people. By the way, A.J. Brown, honestly, is one of the most thoughtful people
I'm just getting the legal out of the way. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. I'm trying to get all distractions out of the way. That's just a legal distraction. We have to do that. All right, we'll get back to our text messages. Our question for you is, do we have problems? And then you guys can go wherever you want with that. Phillies, Eagles, you name it, because this weekend freaking sucked, John. It sucked.
You know what didn't suck, though?
What?
I said a number to Andrew earlier, Connor, and he looked a little glazed over. 287 days. You know what that is?
Nope.
That's the last time we walked in after an Eagles loss.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's kind of nuts.
Still sucks, though.
It makes me...
Oh, I know. Okay, look.
Yeah,
Stop.
It does make me feel like an ass, though, because I was so upset yesterday.
It's 287 days. It's a non-conference loss. It's been, honestly, like, seriously.
Season's over.
It's 287 days since you've woken up after an Eagles loss. I'm just going to ask, because, honestly, I was over the Eagles loss by the time we put on the part 1 of the Charlie Sheen documentary last night.
Dude, I just watched it.
We watched part 1 last night.
Freaking amazing, man.
It was. I'll tell you this. He's really honest. I didn't watch part 2 yet. Can't wait.
Yeah.
But I was over the loss by that point because I'm just like, I believe they'll fix it. I believe they're too talented to let this thing go out of control. I believe they'll get right against the Giants.
Well, as long as you said it earlier, the coordinator
figures
things out.
Yeah, but I have a feeling, though.
Because I don't want Nick Sirianni sitting there like Rob Thompson was loyal to Dave Robertson and Matt Strom.
Well, they're already double talking this thing to death.
Yes,
they're trying to double talk. And by the way, a lot of media members are trying to double talk you.
So
on not to worry about Patullo, and this isn't a Patullo
thing.
It
is a collective effort. Like the offensive line's a mess right now.
But bottom line, and Jimmy Kempski, thank you, but I put it out there yesterday afternoon. It is absolutely Pop Warner Little League football malpractice that you called not 11. I saw our man John Mark saying 11 running plays. They didn't have 11 running plays yesterday. They called 9 running plays yesterday in an NFL game that they led.
You were up 2 scores?
By the way, they led for 31 minutes. They led by 2 scores. And they called 9 running plays because 2 of the running plays were Jalen Hurts scrambles. So they don't count as running plays. Those aren't running plays. Those aren't designed runs. They weren't designed quarterback runs. So Kevin Patullo, who calls the plays, who designs the offense, he calls 9 running plays. Why'd he do that?
Well, maybe it was to appease.
Oh, you think it was?
People.
You think it was? Can I kiss some collective booty?
So there was a awful moment during the game yesterday. And look, I'm not even gonna give my opinion on it. It's just we'll give the opinion of a guy like Dan Orlovsky. Not opinion, the analysis. If you remember last week, we talked about this on the air, and if you didn't hear it, welcome to the show. We appreciate you joining us.
Appreciate you.
Dan Orlovsky, when you were watching NFL Live, did like a film study of A.J. Brown looking disinterested at times. Blocking.
Yes.
Not finishing routes. It happened.
He called him out on the show.
Right.
And he documented it and showed you.
He had video to prove it. That took place yesterday in a crucial moment, which ended up really, really hurting the Eagles. The Eagles, when they were still up, there was a play where Jalen Hurts extended, and A.J. Brown was open downfield, beat his guy. But when the ball did not come his way immediately, you saw him slow down. And then Jalen...
He sort of almost like trotted.
Yeah.
And then tried to
Jalen put the ball in a spot where if the play continued the way that it should, A.J. Brown's catching it and walking into the end zone. As long as you don't let somebody catch up to you, because that happened again in the NFL yesterday. But A.J. Brown scores a touchdown, and who knows what ends up happening. His stat line looks different. Instead of 5 for 43, 0 touchdowns,
the game's over.
It's 6 for 70 and a touchdown.
And they win the game.
They win the game.
The game is won.
We're talking about how, look at this nice dialed-up play by Patullo. So is that what y'all wanted to see? Like, all of a sudden, the talking points are a little bit different. But A.J. Brown slows down. Now, look, we love A.J. Brown, just like our conversation about Kyle Schwarber earlier.
Absolutely.
We love A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown will go down as one of the best wide receivers in Eagles franchise history, but it does not absolve him from mistakes. And the tweet from earlier in the week, when it was very counterproductive, and then when you put out that tweet, and I know he had a great press conference on Wednesday. It wasn't directed at anybody we call baloney. You obviously are directing that towards somebody.
He was directing it at somebody.
You had an opportunity on Sunday to put all that to bed, and unfortunately, you are now once again making your own messy bed by not finishing a play. And so after the game, I credit him for speaking to the media. The media went up to him about that specific play. Here's the back and forth between A.J. Brown and members of the media that cover the Philadelphia Eagles.
From my point of view, we just missed.
It looked like you slowed up on the play. Did you not think the ball was coming your way, or what happened with that?
I didn't think the ball was coming. When I looked up, I didn't see the ball. And I looked back, I didn't see the ball. And then the ball was thrown. So, like I said, we just missed.
Did you guys talk after the play about maybe miscommunication? What happened?
No.
No, we didn't. No. AJ, we didn't just miss. You missed. Because Jalen extended the play.
Yeah, and made the throw.
And delivered the ball to a spot that you should have been in to catch the ball.
Now, look,
that's not a we. That's where he should say me. I messed up.
Now, I will say this. This happens in the NFL. Like, that's not the first time
that happens.
Where that has happened. The reason why we bring it up is because of what took place Sunday after the game against the Bucs.
Correct.
You can't complain without totally complaining about your usage or the way the offense is going, and then have a moment where you could make the case you would have won the game by making that catch if you finished the route.
Is there any question you would have won the game?
No.
And
No,
I mean, there are a few plays that were like a couple of the Devontae catch in the fourth quarter would have won the game. Like there are things, but that would have won the game. And that's not AJ there. I'm really disappointed.
No, especially because
that's a me. That should have been that's an easy situation for AJ to go, yes, I slowed up. I should have been there. That's on me.
Right. And if the Twitter thing never happened, and again, this is why we made such a big deal of it about counterproductive. It's not just about players having to speak for another player or Nick Sirianni having to answer questions or Kevin Petula having to answer questions. I said it. Right. Regardless of what A.J. Brown says Wednesday, we'll see Sunday. Sunday's what's really going to matter. And unfortunately, when you have that moment, normally I just go, come on, A.J., you can't let that happen. But because you had to tweet out what you had to tweet out this past Sunday.
You're holding other people accountable. Hold yourself accountable. That was a perfect opportunity for him to say, I got to do better there.
And then
that's on me.
You hear in the clip, did you and Jalen talk about it? He says no. And that's why earlier in the show, when I mentioned we have problems, one of the problems is we're talking to reporters but not talking to one another on the sideline. And that's a problem. And not to bring up 2023, but to bring up 2023 a little bit here. I was doing middays at the time. All right?
Okay.
And it was before you and I started doing the show.
Sure.
It was that interim period, right?
All right.
I credited Nick Sirianni for something that we never saw up until 2023. We never saw an anonymous report come out of NovaCare. Never.
Lots of them now.
He's kept everything buttoned up. And then in 2023, when things were going poorly, that's when things started coming out. That's when the Tim McManuses of the world started getting a little bit more information than normal. The Jeff McClains got a little bit more information than normal. I mean, hell, you listen to Nick Sirianni's press conference. If you listen to yesterday's post-game press conference, I got nothing out of it. Nothing, because he's going to stick with his guys. It's on me. It was a very, very uninspiring, but also zero information press conference. And you know what? He's supposed to do that. He's the head coach of the team. He's going to try to protect them as much as possible. But the second things start to look bad again, now all of a sudden there's whisper down the lane again.
Here it is again. And more importantly, the Diana Rossini stuff. You know, and it appears, too, that if you believe the reports, it's not just AJ.
Right. No, Devontae's been public about his frustration with the team.
But even
with the
whispering
offense.
to others and look. And by the way, and yesterday, getting to talk to a lot of the guys who are the beats, the guys who covered this team on a daily basis, and a lot of collective different, and some of the national voices that were in town.
Sure.
There's frustration with the offensive coordinator. And bottom line.
Yeah.
Now, but every one of the points made that it is the collective. was made.
Right, that the
That it's
offensive
the
line's not
collective,
playing well.
But that it is sloppy.
Yeah.
This team is sloppy.
All right.
They're not very not smooth.
What do we
Let's put it
got
that
on the
way.
text line, Connor? Because today's the day for we got a lot of crap to unpack, but we also want to hear from you today.
All right, so we have a check-in here on the Eagles, and this texter says, good morning, guys. Ian from Coatesville. The Eagles need a better game plan for the second half of games. Second game in a row, they looked horrible in the second half. The offensive penalties need to stop. And finally, A.J. Brown needs to stop being so emotional and finish his routes.
Your second half drives for the Eagles, the 6-play, 74-yard touchdown drive to start the second half. Great. You're up 17-3. And we're going, all right, there's glimpses here.
No, you're saying it looked like the most complete game of the year at that point.
The field goal drive early in the game when they tied it at 3. I know they only got 3. I loved that drive. They did a little bit of everything. Ran between the tackles, bounces to the outside, RPOs, shot downfield. I loved that drive. Second half, 6-play, 74-yard touchdown drive. Great. Then 6-play, 23 yards, punt. 5-play, negative 11 yards, punt. 6-play, 4-yard, punt. 7-play, 11-yard, punt. 8-play, 27 yards, end of game. That can't keep happening.
No,
and there's a reason why the defense isn't as good during stretches like this when I just give you that amount of those plays. How about 201 total time possession?
Oh, my gosh.
105 total time possession. 203 total time possession, 236 total time possession. You're giving your defense no chance to breathe back-to-back weeks.
Jimmy Kempski putting out a great number this morning that leading by 2 quarters, they ran the ball twice. They led the game for 31 minutes. They led the game for 31 minutes, and they called 2 running plays for Saquon Barkley.
Well, we're going to dive deeper into that coming up next.
Gosh, it's terrible.
Because one of my biggest concerns heading into the season was life after 2,000 yards.
Well,
but even my concerns would not have imagined what I saw yesterday. All right? Concerns go out the window with Saquon when it comes to the way the offense is being called. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Philadelphia.
Well, I'm going to ask you is that I know the amount of people you talk to around the NFL, and I know from the conversations that have been had about this on NFL Live and others, any speculation as to who he's talking about? Not listening to him.
No, I can honestly tell I have not spoken to a single person about that. I honestly have not. We're dealing in injuries on Monday. Yesterday was a day to kind of catch my breath and try on Tyreek Hill. I know it's a big deal in Philly, but on my list of priorities, it was not very high up.
Okay. So, do you believe? I know it's not mandatory, but do you think the Eagles will maybe make it mandatory for A.J. Brown to address this? Because today's the day where midweek players can speak to the media. Do you believe it will be A.J. Brown Day, and do you believe the Eagles will make it be A.J. Brown Day?
Here's what I would say to that: A.J. Brown's a big boy. He can tweet what he wants and he can say what he wants. I don't think you make him do anything. If he wants to talk, he can talk. If he doesn't want to talk, he doesn't want to talk.
How sports continues to be the greatest reality TV show that there is because it's real life. It's actual real life. It's not scripted. And then guys go on social media after hard-fought wins. First off, what did you make of the tweet? Before we even get to your reporting, what did you make of the tweet by A.J. Brown following a hard-fought win in a place that they have struggled a lot over the years?
Well, only A.J. Brown could fully explain what he meant by that. You tweet something like that after a game and after you win and after you go to 4-0, I think you invite a lot of scrutiny and questions as to what you meant by it. It certainly seems like he's not happy with his production or role in the offense right now. But if you look at it, you look at the tape, they targeted him 9 times. It wasn't like they didn't throw him the football. They did. He's just not producing at the level to which he's accustomed. Something similar happened last year. Wasn't happy with his role, complained, and the team went on a run in the second half, and he was dynamic, and everything worked out great. So I think that it wouldn't be what I would like, but I understand why he does it, and we'll see the intended result of it this week start. I'll bet you they feed him right away this week, right away.
It's driving me nuts, though, Adam, when I hear Kevin Patullo talk about the fact that, well, we haven't figured out our identity on offense yet. They're the Super Bowl champs with arguably the best offensive toolbox that any team has in the NFL when you look at skill, talent, quarterback, offensive line. How do they not know what their identity is when they're the defending champs and almost everybody's back?
They should know. I mean, we know what they are, right? I think they're a team that runs the football as well or better than anybody. I think they've got a quarterback that could beat you with his arm or his legs, and they've got the ability to beat you throwing the ball as well. Like, they're a multifaceted offense that has a lot of ways to win. It's not your typical offense. I mean, what's hard to figure out there? I don't get it.
I don't understand it either. I still can't figure it out.
Chef. Because of my opinion on A.J. Brown not running out his route. That's new.
Oh, what's that?
Just,
by the way,
you know.
did they watch the coverage of the NFL yesterday?
Probably not.
Because at least two former players and a coach all called out A.J. Brown for it.
It's all right.
So should they stick to baseball?
Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Everyone
So
should
they
just stick to baseball.
They should stick to baseball.
Look,
Gotcha.
I thought today was going to be a day of unison.
Can we stick to soccer?
I thought today was going to be a day where we were together. Yeah, go Soldier Shield. What is it called?
Supporter Shield.
Go Union.
And what is that? That's
It's
the
the best
regular
regular
season.
The best
season
regular
record.
season record.
Okay, that
Well, that's
honestly,
awesome. Good for them.
No, it's awesome. It's
for them.
great. Doesn't do anything for me.
No,
but
yeah.
it's great.
Well, good for
Well,
Supporter
Johnny
Shield.
Hockey, they got the President's Cup, don't they?
Yeah, but we don't celebrate the President's Cup.
Supporter
Oh,
Shield.
it's because we never win it.
Go
We
Union.
don't celebrate regular season.
Look, today's a day where I think we should all come together and call it like it is.
Screw you.
We got problems. The Phillies need to win tonight, or the season's over.
It is.
And the Eagles, a lot of their flaws finally led to a loss. Now, again, problems can be solved, and we're making sure to say that over and over again today before people start freaking out about, well, the Eagles are at least 4-1, and the Phillies, the season's not over yet. Problems can be solved. All that stuff is true. But there are problems, and we're talking about
there
it.
are problems.
And so yesterday, as I said to you guys numerous times over the offseason, I was worried about the usage of Saquon Barkley, and not like he was going to rush for 300 yards this year. I just thought, all right, it's not going to be the same, so you're going to have to sort of readjust the offense this year. And even my concerns of Saquon not having that same burst did not make me think that they were going to go completely away from him as they did yesterday.
I don't understand, though, what do you think this has to do with Saquon?
No, it doesn't.
That's what I'm going to say, is there's nothing to do with
No,
Saquon.
that's what I'm saying.
Right?
That's why I
this
said
is-
even my concerns did not expect this to happen yesterday. This was the look, I understand that the line of scrimmage can dictate what you're doing. The game can dictate what you're doing. 6 rushes for Saquon Barkley.
That's terrible.
And how many in the second half was it? 2?
Two, the entire 31 minutes they had the lead.
That's insane.
It's insanity. And the thing is, it's a offensive coordinator who is over his skis. Look, it's bottom line. And I'm tired. And I've been scolded from the inside, like the calls coming from inside the house. I've been scolded from inside of the Eagles.
Sure.
About this. I'll be scolded no longer. This is ridiculous. You have all this offensive personnel and everything, and it's this bad? Give me a break. Give me a freaking break. Enough shielding Kevin Patullo. What's that? Is it what did you say?
The supporter shield.
What do you got? The supporter shield over Kevin
for
Patullo?
Patullo. Now, credit to Jalen Hurts. Barkley said after the game that touchdown pass, which was beautiful, by the way.
It was absolutely beautiful.
That was Jalen Hurts' call at the line of scrimmage.
That's awesome.
And I'm glad
course.
that
Is it awesome? Yes, no, it is.
Because he should have the ability to do that. He has earned his right to do that, and plus with a new coordinator, a first-time play caller, despite being in the NFL for 18 years.
Yeah, eventually you get promoted.
Jalen Hurts should have the ability to do that, and it was a good time for it. But for them to have gone completely away from the run, it's
malpractice is what it is. Not one team in the NFL did this yesterday, but the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles with this team, with this personnel, the Super Bowl champs at home. They're the team that did this. No team in the NFL did this yesterday, but them. It's so radical. It's just unbelievable. And they're gonna get the supporter shield out.
I don't.
It's unreal.
Nobody can explain to me why they did that. You can't, honestly, you can't even tell me the defense dictates the plays. To run the ball twice with Saquon Barkley in 31 minutes of game time.
31 minutes of clock, yes.
Unless he's injured, you can't do that.
I can tell you why it happened.
Why?
And it's because of the second half in Tampa Bay. Because they didn't scheme up an effective enough run game to run out the clock, and they almost blew that game in Tampa.
Well,
and now
the pass game wasn't effective either.
Exactly. But now they look at it and they're like, we tried that last week, which you can't do it.
So they sat this week. Now, just take me into NovaCare for a second. So they're in NovaCare, and Kevin Patullo is saying, okay, we're drawing up the plan. We're going up against one of the best pass defense teams in the NFL. So you know what we're going to do, boys? They're never going to expect us to be the most lopsided passing attack that the NFL has seen through 5 weeks. They're never going to expect this. And that's what they do. The logic in that, it entirely escapes me. And to me, it's unacceptable.
I'm curious today with Sirianni, tomorrow with Patullo, how much they mentioned the Dickerson absence and if that is part of the reason why. But still, man,
oh my gosh.
I can't for the life of me. I don't think anybody can give me a legitimate explanation. Even that, if that is their explanation, I find that crazy.
So they said literally, we're going up against the best pass defense team in the NFL. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to pass it more than anybody in the NFL did, percentage-wise, the run-pass differential. We're going to do more passing than anybody.
Went up 2 scores.
Because they're not going to, when we're still up, instead of bleeding clock, it's such malpractice. And any member of the media or otherwise who tries to argue in the defense of it is absolutely BSing you.
All right, what else we got on the text line? What are the problems we got?
Oh, we got so many problems.
We got a lot of them.
We got a billion problems. All right, so Mike from Levittown checks in. And back to the referees conversation. He said refs did not lose them the game. They lost on their own, and they have major problems. But between the Goddard PI, Bond hitting a quote-unquote prone player, and Bo Nix throwing error on that fumble incompletion that they overruled, I'd like to see how this one panned out without bogus garbage such as these.
Look, there were bad calls. But again, I'll go back to my statement that I gave, an hour ago. I'm not disagreeing with people being upset with the officials. But I'm just telling you right now, the only difference of today's show would have been 5-0 versus 4-1. Because we still would have talked about the offense being an issue. We still would have talked about the ground game being an issue. We still would have talked about A.J. Brown not completing a route after going on social media last week complaining about the way the offense. We still would have come on here talking about a Diana Rossini report on game day and then not talking on the sideline between players. All these things still would have been addressed. The only difference, if the Dallas Goedert defensive pass interference call was called and the Eagles scored the touchdown and win it, would have been victory Monday 5-0, but let's unpack it. That's the only difference that there would have been. Today still wouldn't have been fun. All right, coming up next, John Kincade will give his 3 observations from the rest of the NFL at 7:30. But before that, he was in the building for the greatest entrance in baseball while trailing. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A bad weekend in Philly. I'm Connor Thomas, and it was a tough weekend around here with the Eagles taking their first loss of the season. The Phillies dropping Game 1 to the Dodgers. Eagles fell 21-17 to the Denver Broncos yesterday at the Link. They're now 4-1. The Eagles only had 11 rushing attempts in the game and gave up a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. Jalen Hurts spoke after the game about the Eagles trying to reach what they're capable of.
Yeah, it's not a capability thing. We don't have a capability issue. We know what we're capable of. We're just not doing those things yet. But but we will. We will.
Feels like we're going to have to see it soon, and soon because it's a short week for the Eagles as they take on the Giants in New York this Thursday as they try to get back on track. The Phillies fell to the Dodgers in Game 1 of the NLDS on Saturday. Game 2 is tonight at 6:08 p.m. Jesus Luzardo takes the ball for the Phils. Blake Snell for the Dodgers. Harrison Bader, who was removed from Game 1 due to injury, is potentially available for Game 2 tonight after a clean MRI yesterday morning. We'll keep you updated on that. And in MLS news, the Union won the Supporters Shield over the weekend, capturing the best regular season record in Major League Soccer. Andrew DeCecco will join us coming up at 7:55. Jeff Francoeur will join us at 9:10. This update's brought to you by AAA Tire and Auto Service. October is Car Care Month at your local AAA Tire and Auto Service location. Save $40 on any repair of $150 or more. Valid October 1st through October 31st. Visit AAA.com/mycar. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Well, I'm going to ask you is that I know the amount of people you talk to around the NFL, and I know from the conversations that have been had about this on NFL Live and others, any speculation as to who he's talking about? Not listening to him.
No, I can honestly tell I have not spoken to a single person about that. I honestly have not. Like, we're dealing in injuries on Monday. Yesterday was a day to kind of catch my breath and try on Tyreek Hill. Like, I know it's a big deal in Philly, but on my list of priorities, it was not very high up.
Okay.
So, do you believe? I know it's not mandatory, but do you think the Eagles will maybe make it mandatory for A.J. Brown to address this? Because today's the day where midweek players can speak to the media. Do you believe it will be A.J. Brown Day, and do you believe the Eagles will make it be A.J. Brown Day?
Here's what I would say to that. A.J. Brown's a big boy. He can tweet what he wants and he can say what he wants. I don't think you make him do anything. If he wants to talk, he can talk. If he doesn't want to talk, he doesn't want to talk.
How sports continues to be the greatest reality TV show that there is because it's real life. It's actual real life. It's not scripted. And then guys go on social media after hard-fought wins. First off, what did you make of the tweet? Before we even get to your reporting, what did you make of the tweet by A.J. Brown following a hard-fought win in a place that they have struggled a lot over the years?
Well, only A.J. Brown could fully explain what he meant by that. You tweet something like that after a game and after you win and after you get a 4-0, I think you invite a lot of scrutiny and questions as to what you meant by it. It certainly seems like he's not happy with his production or role in the offense right now. But if you look at it, you look at the tape, they targeted him 9 times. Like, it wasn't like they didn't throw him the football. They did. He's just not producing at the level to which he's accustomed. Something similar happened last year. Wasn't happy with his role, complained, and the team went on a run in the second half, and he was dynamic, and everything worked out great. So I think that it wouldn't be what I would like, but I understand why he does it, and we'll see the intended result of it this week start. I'll bet you they feed him right away this week, right away.
It's driving me nuts, though, Adam, when I hear Kevin Patullo talk about the fact that, well, we haven't figured out our identity on offense yet. They're the Super Bowl champs with arguably the best offensive toolbox that any team has in the NFL when you look at skill, talent, quarterback, offensive line. How do they not know what their identity is when they're the defending champs and almost everybody's back?
Well, they should know. I mean, we know what they are, right? I think they're a team that runs the football as well or better than anybody. I think they've got a quarterback that could beat you with his arm or his legs, and they've got the ability to beat you throwing the ball as well. Like, they're a multifaceted offense that has a lot of ways to win. It's not your typical offense. I mean, what's hard to figure out there? I don't get it.
I don't understand it either. I still can't figure it out.
Shefty, when it comes to the A.J. Brown tweet, now I want to start getting your reporting cap on. Have you heard any fallout from the tweet so far at NovaCare. And if you have not, obviously this is not the first time a wide receiver or a player on any football team had said something cryptic on social media or said something cryptic at a press conference. So what could this lead to at some point in a locker room? Because this is not the first time, as you mentioned.
I don't know that it leads to anything in a lot. I mean, everybody's got their own personalities, and people know who people. By the way, A.J. Brown, honestly, is one of the most thoughtful people. One of the thoughtful players that I've encountered. Like, he's very smart and very he's the guy. Just I have found him to be highly intelligent.
Johnny, the weekend wasn't a total loser fest.
Okay, I can't wait to hear this.
For some of us.
Yes, what is this?
The Owls had a nice win over the Roadrunners.
That was huge. That was huge.
You Penn State fans. Oh my
that was bad.
God.
Yeah, that's bad.
UCLA? Really?
That's terrible.
That team's a joke. Man, I could only imagine. Because I saw a lot of people put out the tweet, could you this is what happened to Philadelphia this week. I don't rep
Diana
Penn State.
Rossini.
I laugh at Penn State's failures, but there are a lot of people that I do know that are Penn State fans who also love the Phillies and Eagles, and that's a pretty rough weekend for you Nittany Lion fans out there.
Yeah.
Couldn't happen to a better
that Jerry Seinfeld? That's a shame.
Yeah.
As he's sitting there and thinking, that's a shame.
All right, you got your 3 observations from the rest of the NFL in a couple minutes, but you were in the building Saturday for the Phillies game.
Very quiet.
I got to ask you, did the fans in the building think it was just as ridiculous as I did when I saw the Duran entrance down 2 runs?
I can tell you this. Nobody in the press box. Now, remember, it's a press box filled during the postseason with people that we don't normally see.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that are local. There's a lot of people that are national. But other than Jeff Kerr, Colin Newby, some people that I know, but for the most part, we were surrounded by people that aren't from here.
Right.
Nobody could believe it. Down 5-3.
When the momentum swung, all Dodgers.
You're bringing out that stupid Duran entrance.
Well, it's not stupid. That's not stupid.
When you're
down 2 runs,
when you're down,
stupid.
it's stupid. It's capital S stupid. You're playing that? Are you kidding me?
How many phones lit up?
It was very passive.
All right.
And
everybody's doing it.
I think everybody was like, what?
Why are we doing
this? Like what? Yeah. And the people that are right outside our press box, right down there that are in front of us, you can hear them. There was a veritable, are they doing this? Yeah. Like you could almost hear it like a murmur, like what's going on? Whoever made that decision, and the Phillies make so many great decisions.
Oh, yeah.
Citizens Bank Park, I think, does it as well as anybody in sports. That was a big swing and a miss the other night. That was forced. That was dumb.
Yeah.
Capital S stupid.
Yeah, I just don't know what the alternative is.
The alternative is you should say,
no, you still
coming into the game as Duran comes into the game.
Song.
You can have his song.
Yeah, right,
you don't do the pyrotechnics. You don't do the lights.
Yeah, because they added stuff.
You can play a song when he's coming in.
Yeah,
but
I think
you don't do a scripted thing when they're trailing in the game 5-3. That is tone deaf. It's dumb.
It's a bad look. I think in the article that Matt Gelb wrote for The Athletic, it's all like a package, so they play it all together.
I'm sure.
So
they don't. No.
But you don't have to.
They absolutely could play that song without.
It's just like making that snap decision in the moment. It's a bad look, but it is.
It didn't have to be a snap decision. They could think before a game. You go before a game. Okay, would we do this if Duran is coming into a game and they're trailing? No, of course we wouldn't do this. And if they didn't have that conversation before the game, then that is stupid too.
Yeah. By the way, I forgot to mention this earlier. I said that I was going to bring it up, and I forgot. I just want to remind people of something that was debated a little over a month ago. Alvarado would have been more useful than Matt Strahm in that situation.
He would have been.
Absolutely.
And this is why when the suspension happened, and knowing, because a lot of people I think did not know, knowing that he'd be ineligible for the playoffs is why this show made such a big deal of it when that took place in, May? I think that's in May.
Joe Zempic really let down his team.
We made it a big deal in May, and when he came back and people gave him the standing ovation, I questioned it because of the magnitude of his absence come playoff time. And I don't know how the game would have gone if it was Alvarado and not Matt Strahm. Maybe Alvarado does give up a home run to Teoscar Hernandez. I don't know. But I also know that Alvarado may have started that inning. I've seen Alvarado pitch multiple innings. And that's why I go back to people giving him a standing ovation when he made his return. And I just question if you really knew the magnitude of his absence. And there was a great fan that tweeted at me on yesterday, actually. She saw my tweet from Saturday, but she saw it yesterday saying, and I would do it again. And I go, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you want to do that? You want to?
I don't agree with giving a guy a standing ovation who, look, part of the reason why you lost was maybe not having him.
Why would you?
Does not absolve the 1 for 11 from your top three. Does not absolve Rob Thompson making the decisions that he made. But Alvarado's absence, we knew was going to play a factor, and it did right away in Game 1.
Like, why in the world are you giving him a standing ovation?
Because they wanted to show that they had his back.
We love you. We love you, Jose. You betrayed everybody in the organization and the fan base, but we love you.
He was just trying to lose weight, John.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the story? You're buying it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right. Football music, please. Mr. Thomas. Johnny, your 3 observations from the rest of the NFL this weekend.
All right. I'm going to give you one very quickly.
Okay.
Your loss yesterday opened the door, the Eagles' loss, opened the door for the Commanders to stick around. Commanders picking up a huge win on the road yesterday.
On the road, yeah.
At the Los Angeles Chargers, who now take their second loss in a row. And the Chargers lose. Jaden Daniels is back. So the Eagles now with a 1-game lead in the division, but the Commanders still with 2 conference losses. Just yesterday would have been a nice one to be able to take a lead in that one, and instead you open the door for the Commanders to just hang around and believe a little bit more. Number 2. The Lions got a new offensive coordinator, remember?
I knew that was one of mine, damn it.
I'm sorry. Well, the Lions got a new offensive coordinator, and you know what they don't need? Yeah. They don't need a month of patience. They don't need transition time. They don't need you to say it's going to take a little bit of time to work out. The Lions have averaged over 40 points a game from week 2. That's ridiculous. So you Kevin Patullo apologists, the Lions, they lose their offensive coordinator, and they actually are at a better scoring pace than they were last year. It's unbelievable what they're doing. And one, I had an eye on the Eagles' opponent for Thursday night, the Giants. And as I told you last week, the Giants was a nice little story last weekend, but they were going on to take on the Saints. The Saints were ready for a win. The Giants were ready for a loss. Dude. And the Giants get ready in a short week for the Eagles this week. Eagles better not take their eye off the ball, though, because the way the offensive line is playing, Giants could be at
Giants
least...
have a really good pass rush.
The Giants could at least be a nuisance Thursday night on a short week.
All right. That game pissed me off because I had to, you and I went head-to-head, Saints-Giants.
I thought that
Did you see the 2 fumbles from Dart and Scadaboo? Mm-hmm. They both just dropped it. Well, Scadaboo had it ripped from his hands. Jackson Dart.
Scadaboo's was ripped.
Dart
right?
just dropped it. It was like the Super Bowl. It was like Super Bowl 57 when Hurts was scrambling and it just hit his leg.
And
that's what happened to Dart. And I'm like, come on, guys. But then again, it's another loss for the Giants. Not that anyone was worried about them.
No, not they're worried about it. But short week. Short week. Don't take the Giants for granted.
All right, what else we got on the text line, Connor? It's 610-632-0975. A show for everybody today. Just the question is, do we have problems? The answer is obviously yes. So what problem is it that's sticking out the most for you?
All right, Jim from Souderton checks in and says, last 5 playoff games at Citizens Bank Park, the Phils are 1-4. I honestly believe the huge energy of the crowd works against them at times when adversity hits because the tension in the ballpark is so heavy.
It's the tension. It's not like, oh my God, we have to show up for this loud, raucous crowd. It's when everybody in the building gets tight at the same time, from the fans on down to the players. And, we see this in all sports. Like in basketball, when a crowd goes dead silent because the opposition goes on a 16-5 run, then you have to call a timeout. Like, it does work against you. And we couldn't hear the game all that well where we were at. John was in the building Saturday, and you said it was quiet Saturday.
Oh my gosh! After they took the lead 3-0, all of a sudden I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's everybody's on their phone. I don't know, whatever it is.
Or it was a malaise. Ohtani was dealing.
It was
Sanchez
quiet
was dealing.
It was quiet. the Red October stuff, it's great. You know, everybody talks it. I'd like to show it. They showed it earlier, but it's not the same. There was no intimidation factor. Once it was 5-3, it was as if the building, like energy-wise, just emptied out. There was no, wow, come on, guys. We're going to get behind you. We're going to fire you up. We're going to do whatever. None of it.
I mean, that gets phony if you do start doing that.
Why is it phony? You don't believe they
Did you expect the offense to come back through?
I did not.
Connor, you were admitting. The second they went down 5-3,
I did not give up on that game.
We knew it was over.
I did not.
That game was dead.
I said the only thing that you can hang on to is the Dodgers bullpen stinks. And
that's what it was.
But what did they do?
Well, they went to starters because their manager actually said, I'm going to go to better options than going to shaky relievers.
Oh,
that's an interesting theory. If only Rob Thompson had thought about. Oh, but he did. He did think about that.
He did. All right, coming up next, speaking of Rob Thompson, he deserves the heat for the decisions made with the bullpen Saturday, but we can't let three guys off the hook just because of a blown lead. I know we've talked about it a few times today. We focus on Turner, Schwarber, Harper next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
The Fanatic's Andrew DiCecco, the Philadelphia Inquirer's Jeff McClain, and ESPN's Tim McManus. The best Eagles minds in the city, keeping you informed.
Now, it's a great problem that they're 4-0. Like, you're 4-0. You should be happy as fans. We talked about this yesterday. But, yes, they are still trying to find themselves. They are still trying to figure out what this offense should look like. And the reason I get frustrated by this A.J. Brown conversation is because I do think it distracts from what the bigger issue is, which is this offensive line hasn't been good enough. This rushing attack hasn't been good enough. As much as I like Jalen Hurts, I don't think he has been good enough if your goal is to win another Super Bowl. The goal is not to start the season 4-0. The goal is to win a Super Bowl, and I think this team does need to improve offensively for that to happen. And quite frankly, I think that they will. They're too talented not to. But like you've been saying all offseason, AD, now's the time to start. Week 5 is when you should really start to identify what this offense is going forward. I keep hearing from a lot of people, oh, this is the 2023 offense all over again. Kevin Patullo, he's the next Brian Johnson. Things are going to be ugly. Now, the crazy thing is I went back and just looked at that 2023 season through the first 4 games, and my mind was blown. Now, I know things started to go south at the end of that season. A lot of it was defensively related. A lot of it was because they just couldn't figure out how to stop the blitz. But at least through the first 4 games, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'd kill for that offense right now. Listen to these numbers through the first 4 games of 2023 that everybody wants to compare this team to. They were averaging close to 400 yards of offense per game in those first 4. 392. They had close to 30 points a game at 29.5. Their passing offense was averaging over 225 yards. They were averaging 7 yards per pass attempt. Their rushing attack, 165 yards a game and a 4.7 yard per carry. They only had 11 sacks against, 4 turnovers. You compare that to what this team's doing, they're only averaging 252 yards. That's less than 150 yards from what you were doing in 2023. I mean, it really is crazy because everyone makes the comparison, but at least through the first 4 weeks, the 2023 offense was blowing this offense out of the water.
Well, first of all, the 23 and 2025 Eagles are nothing alike. You just rattled off the offensive numbers, but look at the defensive side of the ball. They did not have Vic Fangio. They had Sean Desai, they had Matt Patricia, and they had a very old and slow defense that was arguably the worst in football. It may have been the worst in football. The season sort of run together for me. But they also have a younger, athletic defense that continues to get better. Their assignment sound, they're fundamentally sound, and I believe what you're seeing now is going to be completely evolved to, you get to December or January. That defense is going to be firing on all cylinders. The offense is talented enough that they're going to figure it out. In my opinion, they're going to figure it out. And they're a better football team. So stop with the 2023, 2025 comparisons. This team is nothing alike.
I don't think they even compare, to be completely honest with you, because the one thing that I could remember very well was coming on the show and saying, wow, if such and such would have gone wrong, they would have lost that game. And most of it was defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to our YouTube audience, as always. We appreciate you being a part of the ride. I saw an old familiar name, Mario from Argentina. I know on the YouTube chat it's Mario Philly, but Mario is in Argentina. He used to call all the time, but he mentioned in the YouTube comment, look, the fees just, after a while, they start adding up, the international calls. So
that they do.
But we appreciate you still being a part of the show, man. It was good
Thank you, Mario.
It was good to see your name. It's been a while. All right, so the Phillies, top of the order, that can't happen again. And Connor, I think you said it best earlier. You know, you can blame Rob Thompson for the game one loss, but if the top of the order plays the way that it does throughout this series, you got no shot of winning. And I said on Friday that this is the series for the Stars. Even before I forget when had that. It was the second we knew the Dodgers, when they beat the Reds, it was the morning after. This series is not the daycare series, right?
No.
Even though that doesn't exist anymore. But this series is not the daycare or this guy that's batting eighth in your order that comes through. Yeah, you can have moments, but you're going to have to rely on the Stars. And the Stars are Trey Turner, it's Kyle Schwarber, it's Bryce Harper, it's JT Realmuto. I'll still add him in there. And he had the big triple. No idea what the hell the Dodgers outfielders were doing on that play.
Well, Teoscar, he said he took a bad angle. And then he makes up for it.
Yeah, then he made up for it
My
later.
buddy who's a Dodger fan was not happy.
I can only
Josh
imagine.
is going, I'm so tired of watching him.
Even though
I'm so tired of watching him out there, and then when he hits the 3-run homer,
Hey,
I go,
by the way, I wanted him 2 years ago.
oh, no, we both wanted him. Yeah, would have loved it.
But the Stars and that top three cannot go a collective 1 for 11 with a walk. Trey Turner with the walk. Schwarber 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Bryce Harper 1 for 4 with the little single. That can't happen. And, you know, I understand that it's 9 guys in an order. But in this series, you saw what happened in game 1 for the Dodgers. One of their stars came through when it mattered most, Teoscar Hernandez. I know Hernandez is not looked at as a star. He's not Ohtani. He's not Betts. He's not Freeman.
What's he batting?
But he bats third in their order.
Bats third in the order.
He's in their top 3.
That's a star. That's still a star. When you're batting third for the Dodgers, you're a star.
Yeah. With that lineup, absolutely.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, but again, once again, if you missed it earlier in the show, since Game 2 of the NLCS in 2023 ended, Harper 7 for 32, Schwarber 7 for 35, Turner 5 for 37. That is a collective 19 for 104. Your 3 biggest guys are not doing the job.
Yeah.
19 for 104, batting 183. So anytime somebody's trying to gaslight you with stats about Schwarber and Harper and their postseasons and that they're not a problem. You're not a problem. Look at their postseason numbers. Look, they're trying to throw you back to the good times.
Sure. Here's the one thing I'll push back on you with that.
With what?
Is that the numbers. Schwarber was of those what was his
7 for 35.
A lot of it came in that Diamondback series. It's just he was the only one. Last year, Harper did play well against the Mets. It was just he was the only one. So I'll push back because of that. Like,
well,
it's
still
not
7 for 32 is not good.
Right, but what I'm saying is last year in the playoffs, Harper was good. Schwarber against the Diamondbacks was one of the only players that was good. It was him and Brandon Marsh. Last year, it was Harper and Castellanos.
Bottom line is, it's not a small sample size to take since that game, a 32 bat stretch, a 35 bat stretch, a 37 bat stretch is by baseball standards not in any way small sample size.
Right, but it's not that Harper has not had bad series since then, right? He had a good series against the Mets. Kyle Schwarber had a good series against the Diamondbacks.
But everything else is sucked.
Yes.
Well, I mean, like,
but there's context to everything is what I'm saying. For the people that are upset with people pointing out the Harper thing, like Harper was the only guy that showed up last year.
There's no context needed to 7 for 32 because the rest of it is unacceptable. The rest is unacceptable.
But I'm not even looking at 7 for
7 for 35 is unacceptable.
I'm looking at 0 for 4 or 1 for 4, 0 for 4, and that's what happened on
And that's
Saturday.
unacceptable.
Yes.
That's not giving. We don't have to go back and find something that makes them look good. We got to look at it and go, overall, it's not a good body of work, and it's long. For a postseason stretch, 35 at-bats is long. That's a lot. That's a good sample to look at. And they're being let down by their biggest stars who appear very, very tight in the sphincter when things are tough.
That's what seems to happen with this team, which really freaking sucks. All right, what else we got on the text line, Connor?
All right, this texter checks in and says, good morning, guys. Last week I heard someone on this station suggest that Bryce Harper could be a top 20 to 25 player of all time, and I just assumed he got into Salciunas' stash. Too many times in the biggest moments, I've seen him come up very small. We seriously overrate him.
Who said that?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't
who's
remember
the person?
hearing that.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, if that person texts back, I'd love to know who said that.
But I will look.
He's not.
He's not top 25 of all time in the history of Major League Baseball, but he's a hell of a baseball.
He's a hell of a baseball player, but I don't know who's saying he is.
I don't.
So I mean, unless you're just say if somebody's saying that, say last week I heard John Kincade say this.
Right.
Last week I heard this. Say it.
They might not remember.
By the way,
No, they know if they're tweeting it, if they're
People
texting
forget
us,
stuff all the time.
they remember it. Or Connor, it never happened.
that could be it true too. I want to. By the way, I want to bring something up because we obviously talked about the decision to go with Robertson and Strahm and Rob Thompson. I credit his loyalty, but obviously sometimes loyal to a fault.
You credit the loyalty?
Yeah, like something because he is stuck with like Brandon Marsh. He's stuck with Brandon Marsh, and Marsh had a great
like last
season.
You and I both. We've said it, and I said it all off season.
Yeah, you'd go back to Hoffman and Estevez.
I would do every single thing every single button that he pushed last year. Rob Thompson's strategy, I would have pushed it too.
Sure.
Against the Mets.
So
but not this year.
I will still, till I'm blue in the face, disagree with the decision to go to Robertson for a second inning and Matt Strahm. But here's the deal. So, Connor, when we were talking about, like, and maybe not the feelings thing, but what's the message you're sending to the rest of your team or what's the message you're sending to the bullpen? I don't give a damn what the message may be and how it's received unless you're Brandon Marsh. There was a moment in Game 1 that I loved Brandon Marsh even more as a person for. And I don't know if you guys you didn't see it because you're in the press box, so you may not have seen it. I wonder if Connor caught it. When they pinch hit for him, they brought in Mundo Sosa. You go to commercial, Vesey is warming up, so they go to commercial. And they bring it back, and they showed Brandon Marsh. A lot of guys would probably be like, head down. Took me out. He was smiling. He was there on the top of the dugout.
Well, he's a good teammate.
No, he always has been.
Always.
And so when I
There
hear...
are some Eagles players who could use a little lesson from Brandon Marsh.
Like, I would rather have 25 Brandon Marshes. Like, if I hear
Be bad against lefties.
He can't. He couldn't bat in that situation.
No, you couldn't.
So he had to be smiling, right?
Yes. No, but there are some, like Nick Castellanos, not to take an unfair shot, earlier this year when you take him out of the game and you put in Johan Rojas. Yeah, like if I'm Nick Castellanos, I want to be in the game too. But I also got to realize why the decision is being made. And instead of getting upset, I got to be there and support the teammate. And so if Rob Thompson was worried, hey, if I don't go to somebody in the bullpen here, it could be sending a bad message. I don't freaking care.
I got you.
Because ultimately, if everybody truly is about winning and what's best for the team, Brandon Marsh showed you, yeah, this is the right decision. I'm happy. Go Phils. I hope we win.
No, he's a great teammate. He is a great teammate. I think he's always one of the most enthusiastic guys up top.
Yeah, sure.
Ready to go and everything like that.
And he's one of the guys that Rob Thompson will take him out of the game and not hesitate to do.
No, definitely
And I just
does.
wonder why it's different for some players.
Well, there's some that are more selfish than others. And some of us that, wouldn't take that well, and he took it really well.
He did.
He did.
I'll give him credit
He had
for
to
it.
get out of that game, though, right?
No, he had to.
I mean, there's
that's the correct decision a million times out of a million. All right, coming up
boy.
next.
Looking forward to tonight.
Our man Andrew. Yeah. Are you? Our man Andrew DeCecco will join us from inside the Birds. Eagles get handed their first loss of the season. There's problems. We'll talk about it with him next. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Problems here in Philly. I'm Connor Thomas, and it was a tough weekend in Philadelphia. The Eagles took their first loss of the season. The Phillies dropped game 1 of the NLDS. It was not a fun couple of days. The Eagles fell 21-17 to the Broncos yesterday at the link to fall to 4-1. They only had 11 rushing attempts in the game, and they gave up a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. Jalen Hurts spoke after the game about what the Eagles are still capable of.
Yeah, it's not a capability thing. We don't have a capability issue. We know what we're capable of. We're just not doing those things yet. But we will. We will.
But being capable of and executing are two totally different things. And the Eagles have a short week as they take on the Giants in New York this Thursday night as they try to turn it around. The Phillies fell to the Dodgers in Game 1 of the NLDS on Saturday. Game 2 is tonight at 6:08 p.m. Jesus Luzardo faces Blake Snell at the bank. Harrison Bader, who was taken out of Game 1 due to injury, is potentially available for Game 2 tonight after a clean MRI yesterday morning. So we'll keep an eye on that. In MLS news, the Union won the Supporters' Shield over the weekend, capturing the best regular season record in Major League Soccer. Andrew DiCecco will join us coming up next for the latest on the Birds. This update is brought to you by Red October, baby. Join Andrew, myself, and the Fanatic crew today at Top Tomato on 11th Street for a Corona Red October pregame rally from 4 to 6 p.m. and enjoy $5 Coronas and Modelo giveaways. Red October tees your shot at 2026 Phillies tickets. Details at 975thefanatic.com. Please drink responsibly. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, it's a great problem that they're 4-0. Like, you're 4-0. You should be happy as fans. We talked about this yesterday. But, yes, they are still trying to find themselves. They are still trying to figure out what this offense should look like. And the reason I get frustrated by this A.J. Brown conversation is because I do think it distracts from what the bigger issue is, which is this offensive line hasn't been good enough. This rushing attack hasn't been good enough. As much as I like Jalen Hurts, I don't think he has been good enough if your goal is to win another Super Bowl. The goal is not to start the season 4-0. The goal is to win a Super Bowl, and I think this team does need to improve offensively for that to happen. And quite frankly, I think that they will. They're too talented not to, but like you've been saying all offseason, AD, now's the time to start. Week 5 is when you should really start to identify what this offense is going forward. I keep hearing from a lot of people, oh, this is the 2023 offense all over again. Kevin Patullo, he's the next Brian Johnson. Things are going to be ugly. Now, the crazy thing is I went back and just looked at that 2023 season through the first 4 games, and my mind was blown. Now, I know things started to go south at the end of that season. A lot of it was defensively related. A lot of it was because they just couldn't figure out how to stop the blitz. But at least through the first 4 games, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'd kill for that offense right now. Listen to these numbers through the first 4 games of 2023 that everybody wants to compare this team to. They were averaging close to 400 yards of offense per game in those first 4. 392. They had close to 30 points a game at 29.5. Their passing offense was averaging over 225 yards. They were averaging 7 yards per pass attempt. Their rushing attack, 165 yards a game and a 4.7 yard per carry. They only had 11 sacks against, 4 turnovers. You compare that to what this team's doing, they're only averaging 252 yards. That's less than 150 yards from what you were doing in 2023. I mean, it really is crazy because everyone makes the comparison, but at least through the first 4 weeks, the 2023 offense was blowing this offense out of the water.
Well, first of all, the 23 and 2025 Eagles are nothing alike. You just rattled off the offensive numbers, but look at the defensive side of the ball. They did not have Vic Fangio. They had Sean Desai, they had Matt Patricia, and they had a very old and slow defense that was arguably the worst in football. It may have been the worst in football. The season sort of run together for me. But they also have a younger, athletic defense that continues to get better. Their assignment sound, they're fundamentally sound, and I believe what you're seeing now is going to be completely evolved to, you get to December or January. That defense is going to be firing on all cylinders. The offense is talented enough that they're going to figure it out. In my opinion, they're going to figure it out. And they're a better football team. So stop with the 2023
97.5 The Fanatic. We're going to be joined by our man Andrew DeCecco here momentarily for his to check in following yesterday's Eagles loss to the Broncos. How many days? 287 days it's been?
Since you've woken up after an Eagles loss. That's why I just say to everybody, look, that's why I said before I put on the Charlie Sheen documentary, I didn't have to go the route of Charlie Sheen and pour myself a couple cocktails and do something else. Charlie, by the way, congratulations on 7 years of sobriety.
Yes,
that's good.
Beautiful.
But I got over it very fast. Now, if they were to lose to the Giants, or they were to something like that, I wouldn't. But
you know what? Even if they beat the Giants, but the offense putzes around again,
no.
We're still going to be pointing out.
Pointing out's one thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get losing one game in almost. We were heading towards we were heading towards getting into the 300-day mark.
Right, which is amazing.
We are living in beautiful times with that. Now the Phillies thing, I'm still not over Saturday night, and I'm not over it yet.
Well, no, because they desperately needed game one, and you can just
terrible.
Hearing my words, understand how I think this series is going to play out. All right, You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia. A Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. This man was in the press box as well yesterday, covering the Birds for Inside the Birds. And, of course, here on 97.5 The Fanatic, our man Andrew DeCecco joins us. Andrew, good morning, brother. How are you?
Hey, what's going on? I'm great. Good to be with you guys.
It's always good to have you on. And for the first time, and as John mentioned, 287 days. It's after an Eagles loss. First and foremost, some of the observations that you had during yesterday's performance against the Broncos.
Well, it was another game where the offense failed to sustain it through 4 quarters consistently. I thought they did some good things in the beginning of the game. They showed some synchronization in terms of the passing game. They got A.J. and Devontae involved early. But then you saw them get away from any sort of consistency, and they sputtered in the second half. And I thought that a defense that only allowed 3 points for much of the game did everything that they could, and it's really unrealistic and unfair to expect them to be able to sustain that throughout the game, and the offense was not able to provide complimentary football. Then there were the penalties that keep surfacing, right? You talk about the false start that Brett Toth had, the illegal man downfield penalty that Tyler Steen had, the illegal shift that erased that Devontae Smith reception. These are things that keep showing up, and the Eagles are unable to, it caught up to them. These are things that have been surfacing over the first 4 games, and the Eagles have been able to get by, but it came back to get them this week, and those are things that they're going to have to clean up moving forward, and they have a short week in which to do it. So they're going to have to flush this one quickly, learn, and get ready for the Giants.
Can you explain any of the logic that may have been involved in saying we're going to call 9 running plays all day long, including when we led the game for 31 minutes? We're going to call 2 rushes for Saquon Barkley with the lead. I don't understand how you're going up against the best pass defense in the entire NFL, and you say, well, we're just going to throw the ball all afternoon and not run the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it was the best pass rush. But, you look at it, I think Nick Sirianni after the game mentioned that there were some times where they were behind the sticks, but my answer is that I feel like they just overcorrected in this. They weren't running the football well again to start the game. Saquon Barkley had a season-long 17-yard run, but, again, it was tough sledding. The passing game was working, and then you saw the overcorrection. But, John, to your point, Jalen Hurts had 38 pass attempts, 44 dropbacks, and Saquon Barkley, 6 carries, 30 yards, A.J. Dillon, 2 for 12, and Will Shipley, 1 for 0. Jalen Hurts had 2 of his own, but that's not going to get it done most weeks, guys. That's really unbalanced, and I feel like this was the classic case of an overcorrection, and I kind of was of that belief leading into this game that there was going to be something to this degree, not this drastic, of course, but usually when you see the passing game that's not taking shape, and there's a lot of questions surrounding it. And AJ, and Devontae leading up to the game voiced their concerns about it and expressed their ability to want to try and revive it and get it going. Yeah, I felt like there was going to be a significant uptick, but you have to be able to have more balance there, and especially in that second half.
Let's ignore the counterproductive tweet from last Sunday for a moment. I just want your opinion on the play itself that's been talked about a lot, where it looks like A.J. Brown slowed down running his route. Jalen Hurts puts in a spot where if he continued his route, touchdown, then maybe an Eagles victory. Your opinion on everything that took place on that play?
Yeah, from where I'm sitting, you look at the play, and it looked like A.J. slowed up on the play. It was also a scramble drill, and, there's the pump fake there, so maybe that threw him off. Only those two, only Jalen and A.J. could really speak on that. They both answered the question about the play, and A.J. chalked it up as just a miss. But to me, it looked like he was maybe not expecting the football. He was jogging towards the latter stage of that route and wasn't able to catch up to the ball. But I thought it was a good play to shake free and have that dialed up. But you got to be able to convert on those. And if they had, we're not even talking about the running game, the unbalanced nature of the offense. You're talking about a team that would have went up 24-3 at that point. And there's been so many times this season, just through the first 5 games, where they failed to connect on big plays. I keep going back to the play in Kansas City. And in this game alone, that we talked about the illegal shift that erased that Devontae Smith play. You can just kind of rattle on down the list. They have to be able to execute and fine-tune these details because they've seemed to have lost their way there a little bit.
Is it of your mindset and your belief, from a guy who's around this team on a daily basis, that the overcorrection yesterday of the offensive game plan was a response to the noise this week coming out of the locker room?
No, I don't think that. I mean, we've seen lopsided affairs in the past, and without having any sort of underlying, I guess, reasoning, if you will. But it's just something to me that it felt like they were compelled to get the passing game rolling early on in the game. There was success there, and I just feel like they kind of let it get away from them a little bit and overcorrected in a big way. To the expense of the running game. Foundationally, John, as you know, the Eagles are a run-first team, and they're priding themselves on playing stout defense. But they got away from the running game. They're putting their defense on the field for far too long and asking too much. I mean, they were out there for 74 plays. So eventually that proverbial dam's going to break, and you saw the Broncos put up 18 unanswered points. But you have to have better balance, and I don't think that it had anything to do with, at least in my estimation, last Sunday.
Our man Andrew DeCecco with us on the Comcast Business Hotline. Andrew, I just want to remind you that it is October 6th. So this is not July 6th or right. August or September. But it doesn't matter what month it seems like. I'll ask the question. Is cornerback 2 on the roster?
Right now, my gut tells me no. I mean, look, I thought Keely Ringo against the Bucs, he wasn't tested that much, but he was sticky in coverage and his opportunities there. You could see signs of him sort of growing and being more comfortable within that role, but in the fourth quarter, make no mistake about it, Sean Payton was certainly targeting him, and I think that's why he felt really comfortable going for it for 2 in that situation, knowing that he can get one of his wide receivers isolated on Ringo, created enough separation, made the wide throw to the right side of the field. Teams are going to continue to do that unless you're able to rectify that area, or unless you have a pass rush that can sort of alleviate some of those shortcomings or mask it a little bit. And the Eagles don't have that yet. So I think because of that, that's why it would serve them well to perhaps look outside the organization and get another corner. And Jacorian Bennett is going to return around the trade deadline, but I think that they already kind of know what they have. He had been there a month before he suffered that, actually really almost 2 months before he suffered that injury. So, yeah, I mean, it's a need, and you could point to, edge rusher as well, but I don't think they're quite there yet. Last week, Vic Fangio mentioned that he thinks that they have enough there, and they have, 4 weeks to really, generate some momentum and force the Eagles to maintain with what they have.
Tell us about the short week that they've got for the Giants and the challenges that occurs as they get ready to head up for Thursday night's game.
Yeah, a lot of it's going to be walkthroughs, so I would imagine that there will be just one media day of availability. They already were starting after the game, getting ready inside the locker room, getting ready for the busy week ahead. This is why it's becoming a little less likely, at least in my opinion, that Nakobe Dean would you're able to kind of gauge much of what's going on with Nakobe Dean and when he can return because it's walkthroughs this week. So they're going to have to turn this around quickly, be diligent in the film room, and learn from this because they're not going to be able to wallow or dwell on this game. But you have to correct some of these underlying issues that have now been a primary reason surfacing on Sunday that they lost that game, and you have to be more disciplined. And this team often talks about details, and the word details yesterday was often uttered by different players who spoke after the game, missing out on those. So they have to make sure that they fine-tune it.
What did you make of some of the calls? That was obviously a big talking point on social media yesterday. Flags that were picked up, flags that were not. Was there anything that you actually disagreed with, or were you in agreement with the decisions made by the officials?
Yeah, I mean, the last play to Dallas Goedert, I thought that should have been interference. Mm-hmm. Clearly, that's called most times. It wasn't called, and I just would, for me personally, I just like to see clean officiating, or at least consistent officiating, and that's a play that most games in that type of situation they call that, and then you're setting up for the dramatics there with that final play from, I guess, the 3 or the 5 yard line,
sure.
And that would have been exciting, but. I mean, you could look across that game. There were 21 total penalties, 9 for 55 for the Eagles, who had 8 for 83 against the Buccaneers, and it just wasn't clean. But you could look at any game and say that was a little ticky-tack, or hey, that one. But it is what it is. You can't put it in the hands of the referees, and it's as simple as that.
Is this team having fun? Do you think that locker room, energy-wise, feelings-wise, are you feeling good vibes?
Yeah, prior to this loss, yes, I was under the impression that they were having fun and enjoying the process and what comes with winning. But that was also a team yesterday that clearly they're not used to losing. I think that was the first home loss that they had since week 2 last season against the Atlanta Falcons, where Saquon Barkley had that untimely drop late in the game. Yeah. They hadn't lost, period, since week 16 against the Commanders last year. So when you're used to these winning ways, you're almost stunned a little bit, and it forces you to reset and get back to what's made you so successful. And I didn't get the sense that anyone was hanging their head, but they were well aware that they got to get some things corrected. Cooper DeJean mentioned that maybe this is a good thing for us because we've been letting little things go, and we got to get that cleaned up. It's been letting us get by for a little bit, but eventually that caught up to us, and so. They understand that they have to make sure that they're honing in on these details, which is a stark contrast compared to 23, where you didn't hear these same sentiments.
Lastly, and you're the best, man. We get so much out of you in such a short period of time. Azeez Ojulari, are you confused as to why he was not active the previous 4 weeks? Because he looked pretty good yesterday.
It's funny because some players might just be gamers. Whereas they get there on the field and you're able to see what they can do. He didn't have a particularly eye-opening training camp. And in fact, Josh Uche was clearly the better player, and Ojulari had fallen a little bit down in the pecking order and was sort of an afterthought. But I asked Vic Fangio about how he was performing on the practice field last week, and he said he's been practicing good, but special teams, he's played under 100 special team snaps in his career, and if you're the 5th or 6th edge rusher active on game day, that has to be sort of a prerequisite. And if he wasn't equipped to do that, you're not going to be active. But you plug him in the game, and he had a tackle for loss, a quarterback hit, I think 3 total tackles. So, I mean, that's somebody that I think could add a little bit more juice and depth to that rotation. And you now have, again, 4 weeks to see, do you have enough there at edge rusher, or do you need to look outside to reinforce for a reinforcement. But I thought that was a positive sign for Azeez Ojulari in his Eagles debut.
Had a Georgia player I texted with the other day, Anthony, say the same type of thing about him, just saying that he was the kind of guy that game situations, he's there. He wondered if it's that. But as you pointed out, and I reiterated what you said, it was more special teams than anything, because they said, but he was always a guy when the lights were on
game day. He was
ready to go.
Just like Andrew DeCecco. Every time
he's already ready.
Every time he's on the air,
he's always ready.
He's ready to go. You're the man, brother. We appreciate
Thanks,
it as
buddy.
always, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yep. Take care, guys.
There he is, Andrew
He'll be in
DeCecco
with
on
us
the
game
Comcast
day
News Hotline.
Thursday.
Oh, yeah, that's
He'll
right.
be in with us for
Looking
2
forward to
hours
that.
on Thursday morning.
All right, coming up next, we do what we do best. We react to what other people are saying. Monday morning radio host, where we play a couple of clips from Nick Sirianni's post-game press conference, and we react. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
One-on-one with John Mark.
Now, it's a great problem that they're 4-0. Like, you're 4-0. You should be happy as fans. We talked about this yesterday. But, yes, they are still trying to find themselves. They are still trying to figure out what this offense should look like. And the reason I get frustrated by this A.J. Brown conversation is because I do think it distracts from what the bigger issue is, which is this offensive line hasn't been good enough. This rushing attack hasn't been good enough. As much as I like Jalen Hurts, I don't think he has been good enough if your goal is to win another Super Bowl. The goal is not to start the season 4-0. The goal is to win a Super Bowl, and I think this team does need to improve offensively for that to happen. And quite frankly, I think that they will. They're too talented not to. But like you've been saying all offseason, AD, now's the time to start. Week 5 is when you should really start to identify what this offense is going forward. I keep hearing from a lot of people, oh, this is the 2023 offense all over again. Kevin Patullo, he's the next Brian Johnson. Things are going to be ugly. Now, the crazy thing is I went back and just looked at that 2023 season through the first 4 games, and my mind was blown. Now, I know things started to go south at the end of that season. A lot of it was defensively related. A lot of it was because they just couldn't figure out how to stop the blitz. But at least through the first 4 games, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'd kill for that offense right now. Listen to these numbers through the first 4 games of 2023 that everybody wants to compare this team to. They were averaging close to 400 yards of offense per game in those first 4. 392. They had close to 30 points a game at 29.5. Their passing offense was averaging over 225 yards. They were averaging 7 yards per pass attempt. Their rushing attack, 165 yards a game and a 4.7 yard per carry. They only had 11 sacks against, 4 turnovers. You compare that to what this team's doing, they're only averaging 252 yards. That's less than 150 yards from what you were doing in 2023. I mean, it really is crazy because everyone makes the comparison, but at least through the first 4 weeks, the 2023 offense was blowing this offense out of the water.
Well, first of all, the 23 and 2025 Eagles are nothing alike. You just rattled off the offensive numbers, but look at the defensive side of the ball. They did not have Vic Fangio. They had Sean Desai, they had Matt Patricia, and they had a very old and slow defense that was arguably the worst in football. It may have been the worst in football. The season sort of run together for me. But they also have a younger, athletic defense that continues to get better. Their assignment sound, they're fundamentally sound, and I believe what you're seeing now is going to be completely evolved to, you get to December or January. That defense is going to be firing on all cylinders. The offense is talented enough that they're going to figure it out. In my opinion, they're going to figure it out. And they're a better football team. So stop with the 2023, 2025 comparisons. This team is nothing alike.
I don't think they even compare, to be completely honest with you, because the one thing that I could remember very well was coming on the show and saying, wow, if such and such would have gone wrong, they would have lost that game. And most of it was defensively that season. That things could have been worse early on in that season, but everything kind of came to fruition anyways after they were 10-1 and things went downhill. It's not
13 here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Oh, I forgot to mention, it's a Football Monday. Sorry, I've been too miserable. Football Mondays on The Fanatic, presented to you by the local Bryant Home Comfort Team. Visit nopaybryant.com to keep your HVAC in the starting lineup. We are going to get into a conversation about the starting lineup soon because you're going up against a left-handed pitcher today, but you got some banged-up guys as well. So we'll talk about that later on. But we do this every single week at this time. Time now for the Monday morning radio host.
Now, the Monday morning radio host on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And it's brought to us by who, Connor?
Our friends over at Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name Lundy Law, your injury lawyers. Visit LundyLaw.com. That's LundyLaw.com.
If you're just joining us for the first time, thank you for joining Kincade and Salciunas. Monday morning radio host is a spinoff of Monday morning quarterback, but we do this well, Johnny.
Yeah, we try to.
We actually break down what people are saying more so than film. So here's Nick Sirianni yesterday post-game press conference talking about these self-inflicted things that keep on happening.
We'll have to go back and watch a lot of this stuff. There was a couple scenarios right there where we got a little bit behind the sticks. Whether I know the plays, whether it was a hold or a false start, got behind the sticks there. Those are some self-inflicted things that we did. When those happen, I'm always putting that on myself. When we don't master the things that require no talent, that's something that's always going to be on me, because that's something that we talk about an awful lot, and we have to drive that home, and I have to drive that home, so that's on me.
I mean, there's just way too many penalties with this football team right now, and timely ones and uncharacteristic ones. And again, I understand that people, when they slow down every millisecond of a video, you can see that maybe the guy that Zach Baun hit late was still churning. Officials are trying to call things in real time. I thought it was a late hit right away. Did anybody, once the replay showed, I think a lot of people changed their opinion. But at the moment, I go, what the hell are you doing, dude? And that's when the refs are going to throw the flag.
I don't understand it. The lack of discipline right now is crazy.
Yeah, it's not something that we're used to.
It's not getting any better.
Because last year, they were so buttoned up with every detail of the game. And Sirianni will take blame for it. Look, he's the head coach. He's going to try to protect his guys, but he's not on the field. All right. Obviously, when you watch a team lose, fans will throw blame. Nick Sirianni would rather not do that.
Again, there's so many things that go into that. I feel like I didn't feel, obviously we had the one that was a huge one on fourth down where we got up and kind of snapped it on one. A lot of things that go into that. Again, we're doing everything we can do to, find solutions, not assign blame. And we're a team, we're together. So it's always going to be an us thing.
I mean, yeah. Keep on trying to find solutions.
Exactly.
There were solutions to issues that are still trying to be found when they were 4-0. It just seemed like everything happened at one game yesterday. All the issues with the team happened yesterday.
They did.
Right? Tackling issues, bad penalty issues, offense just sputtering issues. It's what led to a loss, and your first loss of the season. Obviously, penalties. Something that a lot of people are complaining about. Here's Nick Sirianni talking about penalties.
I've been around this long enough where calls, they balance each other out. I know sometimes there's always going to be well, we get screwed in this one. I don't think that way. They all balance each other out. You're going to get some that you think you should get. You're going to get some that you're going to get that's going to go against you sometimes as well. So those guys do the best they can do and take a lot of pride in that. I got a lot of respect for the referees, and we'll never put anything on that. Again, those things happen in split-second situations, and then the review, same thing. So a lot of respect for what they have to do in real time. Again, it's tough. You just don't want to put yourself in those situations where it's coming down to a decision making by somebody else.
That's his best answer from yesterday's press conference, because he's not going to blame the officials. Now look, we saw. I mean, you're at the stadium. They kept showing Sirianni in the sideline every time there was a questionable call, and he was upset.
Yeah, you can be upset,
as he should be. But when it comes down to talking about it, he's saying all the right things, and what he ended up saying is, what's the fact? We don't want to put ourselves into a position where we're relying on a call.
No, you can't.
And ultimately, I said it, I'll say it a third time. Same time every hour, 6:18, 7:18, now 8:18. It's kind of weird how that works out, Johnny. That regardless of whether or not they got that Dallas Goedert call, and maybe they would have won, the only difference of today's show would have been victory Monday 5-0 versus 4-1, because we would still be pointing out all the flaws that took place yesterday.
And again, I keep hearing I don't want to blame the officials, but. Blame the Eagles. The Eagles shot themselves in the foot so many different ways before the officials.
Yeah.
And they still would have had to make one or two plays if that Dallas Goedert call ends up. You would have had one chance to score a touchdown.
Yeah,
one
absolutely.
shot in the end zone.
All right.
And who knows?
That's the Monday morning radio host. Coming up next, Johnny. I don't even know where this is going to go because you sent me an email with it.
Right.
I took note of it when I saw it yesterday. So I'm curious to get your opinion on it. But there was a report yesterday, speaking of Nick Sirianni, and it plays into something I was saying before the season for the Eagles. The added pressure that they gave themselves. Also, my 3 observations from the rest of the NFL. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
2 blown games. I'm Connor Thomas, and it was a tough weekend here in Philadelphia with the Eagles taking their first loss of the season. The Phillies dropping game 1 of the NLDS to the Dodgers. The Eagles lost 21-17 to the Broncos yesterday at the Link, and they are now 4-1. They only had 11 rushing attempts in the game. They gave up a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. So Jalen Hurts spoke after the game, and he talked a little bit about the capability still of this Eagles team.
Yeah, it's not a capability thing. We don't have a capability issue. We know what we're capable of. We're just not doing those things yet. But we will. We will.
Well, we'll have to see it quickly this week as the Eagles have a short week. They play Thursday Night Football up in the Meadowlands against the Giants. The Phillies fell to the Dodgers. The Eagles weren't the only one who blew a lead. They were up 3-0. They ended up blowing that to lose 5-3 in Game 1. Game 2 is tonight at 6:08 p.m. Jesus Luzardo faces Blake Snell. Harrison Bader, who was removed from Game 1 due to injury, is potentially available for Game 2 tonight. He got a clean MRI yesterday morning, so that's good news at least. In MLS news, the Union won the Supporter Shield over the weekend, capturing the best regular season record in Major League Soccer. We're going to talk to Jeff Rancourt coming up at 9 a.m. This update is brought to you by Rapid Radios. Their instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies with nationwide LTE coverage. For a limited time, get 60% off and free UPS shipping at rapidradios.com. Use code RADIO for an extra 5% off. I'm Connor Thomas on your own for the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
The Philadelphia Phillies, 96 regular season wins, 11 playoff wins.
Now, it's a great problem that they're 4-0. Like, you're 4-0. You should be happy as fans. We talked about this yesterday. But, yes, they are still trying to find themselves. They are still trying to figure out what this offense should look like. And the reason I get frustrated by this A.J. Brown conversation is because I do think it distracts from what the bigger issue is, which is this offensive line hasn't been good enough. This rushing attack hasn't been good enough. As much as I like Jalen Hurts, I don't think he has been good enough if your goal is to win another Super Bowl. The goal is not to start the season 4-0. The goal is to win a Super Bowl, and I think this team does need to improve offensively for that to happen. And quite frankly, I think that they will. They're too talented not to. But like you've been saying all offseason, AD, now's the time to start. Week 5 is when you should really start to identify what this offense is going forward. I keep hearing from a lot of people, oh, this is the 2023 offense all over again. Kevin Patullo, he's the next Brian Johnson. Things are going to be ugly. Now, the crazy thing is I went back and just looked at that 2023 season through the first 4 games, and my mind was blown. Now, I know things started to go south at the end of that season. A lot of it was defensively related. A lot of it was because they just couldn't figure out how to stop the blitz. But at least through the first 4 games, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'd kill for that offense right now. Listen to these numbers through the first 4 games of 2023 that everybody wants to compare this team to. They were averaging close to 400 yards of offense per game in those first 4. 392. They had close to 30 points a game at 29.5. Their passing offense was averaging over 225 yards. They were averaging 7 yards per pass attempt. Their rushing attack, 165 yards a game and a 4.7 yard per carry. They only had 11 sacks against, 4 turnovers. You compare that to what this team's doing, they're only averaging 252 yards. That's less than 150 yards from what you were doing in 2023. I mean, it really is crazy because everyone makes the comparison, but at least through the first 4 weeks, the 2023 offense was blowing this offense out of the water.
Well, first of all, the 23 and 2025 Eagles are nothing alike. You just rattled off the offensive numbers, but look at the defensive side of the ball. They did not have Vic Fangio. They had Sean Desai. They had Matt Patricia. And they had a very old and slow defense that was arguably the worst in football. It may have been the worst in football. The season sort of run together for me. But they also have a younger, athletic defense that continues to get better. Their assignment sound, they're fundamentally sound. And I believe what you're seeing now is going to be completely evolved to, you get to December or January. That defense is going to be firing on all cylinders. The offense is talented enough that they're going to figure it out. In my opinion, they're going to figure it out. And they're a better football team. So stop with the 2023, 2025 comparisons. This team is nothing alike.
I don't think they even compare, to be completely honest with you, because the one thing that I could remember very well was coming on the show and saying, wow, if such and such would have gone wrong, they would have lost that game. And most of it was defensively that season. That things could have been worse early on in that season, but everything kind of came to fruition anyways after they were 10-1 and things went downhill. This is not the same team. This is growing pains right now. That's the understanding you have to have. They gave us the definition of that last year. Saquon Barkley, I could remember his words perfectly. We're using these first 4 games as a preseason.
Yep.
Okay, so now, to me, is the grading time. You've gotten through those first 4 games. Now show up and do your jobs.
And part of the reason I wanted to do this exercise, where I read to people how good the offense was through the first 4 games, is because I want people to understand it is not how you start. It is how you finish. And the fact that offense really was dominant through the first 4 weeks, it didn't matter. I mean, we saw an epic collapse. We saw them get dominated in the wild card round down in Tampa Bay. It didn't matter. What matters is getting better every single week, and that's what you saw last year. You saw a 2-2 team turn things on and get better and better after the bye every single week until they got to the postseason, and forget it. I mean, they were absolutely dominant. We've talked about a lot on this show. Are they one of the best Super Bowl champions ever? We wouldn't have been saying that after 4 games last year. So that's why I do think we need to calm down a little bit, but we are looking at what is the symptom, or what is the bigger problem of these symptoms that we're seeing?
So Johnny sent me something, and it was already in my notes. And the beauty of how we handle the show is we don't do the show before the show. We put things together on the show sheet, but I don't know John's opinion. He doesn't know my opinion. Sometimes we can tell.
Exactly.
But I have no idea why you sent it to me, and you may have no idea why I want to play it. But if you remember, before the season started, I said, hey, whatever it takes to motivate you, go for it. But that doesn't mean I don't have to roll my eyes at it. And what I'm talking about is the Eagles' ignorance of winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we're not the defending champs, blah,
Just
blah,
that
blah.
last year is a new team, all that kind of stuff, right? Like, I thought they went over the top with it.
I didn't buy it.
I understood the messaging, but
it was complete. I believe it's completely fake.
Yeah, it was completely contrived, and you just know that week 2, right away, they're playing the team that you just beat in the Super Bowl and all the questions leading up to it. So you can't ignore it. But they tried to do whatever they could. I said to you guys, if you remember, because I always have to keep it 100, as much as I ripped Scotty Scheffler at one point this summer when he won a tournament and said, I don't really enjoy it because it's on to the next thing, I ripped the Eagles for it too. Like, enjoy it a little bit.
Enjoy. Right.
I don't want 10, 15 years from now to hear, man, I wish I enjoyed it more when it happened.
Exactly.
Right? So there's a really interesting report. I'm watching the pregame show on NBC Sports Philadelphia, and Michael Barkan has Ashlyn Sullivan on, who covers the Eagles for NBC Sports Philadelphia. And here she is, sideline or by the end zone, talking about something that the Eagles did away with.
Well, very Jared and Jason know it better than most. There's a tradition in the NFL that you just don't really mess with, and it's Victory Monday. It's pretty simple. You win the game on Sunday, you get off on Monday, you come into the facility later on in the week, and you go to the next game plan. Well, talking to Eagles players in the locker room, they have told me that Victory Monday is canceled for the Philadelphia Eagles. The undefeated 4-0 Philadelphia Eagles do not have any Victory Mondays, and this is because the Eagles leadership group of Jordan Mailata, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts went to the coaching staff and said, we don't deserve a Victory Monday. Look at how we're playing. We have to play better. We need this extra day to go over game film of a win. And frankly, the players telling me they like the change in the schedule.
I almost really like not having a Victory Monday because it brings us in and we're able to, again, watch the film as a team, be very critical, but also just be around those who understand the predicament, not even predicament, but the situation we're in. We're 4-0. Many teams would love to be 4-0 right now, but we're in the business of getting better. We're in the business of being very critical at the same time. Wins are great, but we're not playing to the standard that we know we can be. And so I think, enjoying the win is great, but being around this locker room and being here the day after a game so we can correct and see what went wrong, or see what we did right. And I think if we do that this week, we can hopefully see a change.
So I understand, again, the messaging, but sometimes you can put too much pressure on yourself, man.
Yes. Sometimes you can make it like a crucible of, we are here to work. This is a workplace. We are not going to have any fun. This has to be better. Get it better. Let's make it better.
What does it remind you of? 2023.
Yep.
When the reports come out that after losing the Super Bowl, they walked around every single day as if their dog died.
Correct.
Now, look, they won the Super Bowl, but it almost feels like you could make a case. Again, this is tinfoil cap time. You could make the case that they went too far with the whole that was last year. That didn't happen. Oh, Victory Monday's canceled. Yeah, you're 4-0, and it hasn't been pretty. And so I understand what Jordan Mailata is saying. And again, credit to Ashlyn Sullivan and NBC Sports Philadelphia for getting this. I understand that they're saying, hey, we're not playing to our standards, so we don't want to celebrate the win. Let's get back in there and work. Sometimes I want you to just celebrate a win.
Just more importantly, I'm fine if they want to come in and work, if they want to do that. But just seriously, the messaging stuff,
it's over the top.
Worried so much about what the messaging is and everything. Yeah. I'd worry more about the fact that you have a quarterback and a wide receiver, star wide receiver who aren't communicating.
Sure.
You have an offensive coordinator who appears to be over his skis, and you have a star wide receiver who says we're not all on the same page. How about fixing that instead of fixing the bumper sticker stuff? I don't care about the bumper sticker stuff. You do that. You go do that yourself. Worry about the stuff that matters. And I think they worry a little bit too much about the window dressing.
And look, there could be some players that go, I want my victory. I just worked my ass off.
Exactly.
Like, imagine everybody on defense. Like, just saying, like, the defense is part of the reason why you have 4 wins this year. The majority of the reason why you're 4-0. Do you think, like, Jalen Carter's going, okay, no Victory Monday, wahoo. Like, they're doing their job. Special teams is doing their job. Do you think the gunner on special teams is saying, yeah, you know what, you're right. Let's be there. It's one side of the ball that's struggling. And I just feel like they're putting a little bit too much on themselves.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I like Victory Monday. I like teams celebrating the wins that they have. And if you have stuff to work on and you can't get that done in the normal time frame of where other NFL teams operate, that's more on you and your coaching staff and your process.
Now, if they won yesterday, today's different because it's Thursday. So you're back in the building.
Yeah.
But that's like this whole Sunday, you win Sunday, you're playing next Sunday. Oh, no Victory Monday. Canceled.
No.
To me, it's a little forced. By the way, speaking of Mondays, Football Mondays on the Fanatic, presented to you by local Bryant Home Comfort Team. Visit nopaybryant.com to keep your HVAC in the starting lineup. All right, football music, please, Mr. Thomas.
Aaron Nola is an ace.
Wow. Well, he's not pitching today.
Thankfully.
Accidental click there. That's on me.
Thankfully.
Right. My 3 observations from the NFL. I would get yours, Johnny, but we're already up against it.
No, let's go.
Are the Ravens cooked? I understand that Lamar Jackson did not play yesterday, but that defense is atrocious. A secondary that they tried making better. They were missing Kyle Hamilton yesterday. They were missing a couple of players yesterday. But now all of a sudden, you want to talk about a team with expectations and maybe a little extra pressure, 1-4, and you gave up 44 points to an offense that has not been good this year in the Houston Texans. C.J. Stroud, 23 of 27, 244, 4 touchdowns.
He's going to be the can I make a prediction this morning?
AFC Player of the Week?
No, I'm going to make a prediction for you. Opening day 2026. John Harbaugh, New York Giants head coach.
I could see it. If it keeps going this way.
New York Giants head coach John Harbaugh.
Speaking of coaches that will be on the market, Mike McDaniel, we're on Mike McDaniel watch.
He will not be the coach of anybody.
What happened yesterday against the Panthers, you want to say it was a bad blown loss for the Eagles yesterday. You blew a lead to the Panthers numerous times yesterday. So we are officially on Mike McDaniel watch. I understand Tyreek Hill is out for the season. He was hurt last week. Got hurt in that game against the Jets, and they were able to find a way to win. But they got the Chargers next week, and if the Chargers embarrass them, I don't even know how. Like, what's the point at this point? Like, if you're Miami, if you're ownership, what's the point of keeping them around? Why are some players just so dumb? Well, back-to-back weeks where a player, DeMarcado of the Cardinals, the running back, drops a ball at the 1-yard line.
I'm telling you this.
How are we still doing this?
What do they do? They think it's cool? You said. I honestly, I said to you. They think this is cool?
Yeah, dropping the ball right when you cross the goal line.
It's for the gram?
Maybe.
Is that it?
And the Cardinals lose. Just like the Colts lost last week when A.D. Mitchell did it.
I mean,
the Cardinals quite literally lost because of that play yesterday. They were icing the game, and he breaks one between the tackles. A touchdown wins it, much like A.J. Brown would have.
Did you see Gannon hit him twice?
Yes, I did.
Gannon physically pushed him twice.
I don't get it. I don't understand the dropping the ball at the 1-yard line.
How do you do that to your teammates?
I don't know.
Like, how are you so damn selfish?
I'd be so angry if I was one of the 52 other members of the Arizona Cardinals today. Lastly, I know I gave 3, John. All I want to say is that Emeka Egbuka guy is a star in the making.
Oh, he is.
Talented again yesterday. So much so, he broke Rob Gronkowski's brain.
You got to give credit to this rookie sensation wide receiver out of Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka, going for over 100 yards. Emeka Egbuka. I'm getting confused.
What did he say? What did he call him? Come on, Gronk.
You play one more time.
Gronk. Do it again. Do it one more time.
You got to give credit to this rookie sensation wide receiver out of Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka, going for over 100 yards. Emeka Egbuka. I'm getting confused.
What?
Look,
I don't know how.
I struggle with words often.
No.
And names often.
No,
I don't hide it. I don't hide my low GPA and issues with words.
Gronk. Dude. That was terrible.
Him saying I'm getting confused at the end is
that's even better.
I love that guy.
When I heard that yesterday, I was dying.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
God.
That was really bad. Really bad.
Coming up next, Phillies lost the all-important game 1. What do you do with the lineup in a must-win game 2? You're going up against the lefty, and you got a banged-up Bader.
And who's coming up with us at the top of the hour?
Jeff Francoeur.
Yeah, doing the broadcast tonight?
Hell yeah. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a Fanatic Phillies playoff update on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I'm Connor Thomas, and game 1 for the Phillies did not go the way that we planned it. They fell to the Dodgers 5-3. They blew a 3-0 lead, and the bullpen, questionable decisions, not great execution. That was a major story of the game. Now, the top of the lineup didn't help. Turner, Schwarber, Harper went 1 for 11 in the opening game of this series, and you need more from those guys. But Rob Thompson's management of the bullpen was questionable with things like sending David Robertson back out after getting out of an inning. He talked about the decision with David Robertson.
No, I think we played it exactly the way I wanted to play it, and we talked about that situation going into the game. And D-Rob, in my mind, was the guy to go to there and stay with him.
Well, going to, maybe not the problem, but staying with certainly did not work out for the Philadelphia Phillies. And then also you had the decision to go to Matt Strahm, which may have been the right one, but giving up a home run to Teoscar Hernandez was the difference in the game. Rob Thompson talked about the Matt Strahm decision as well.
You know, like I said, Strahm, for the most part, did his job. He got the strikeout and the pop-up and just made a mistake, just didn't hit his spot. And that's going to happen every once in a while.
Well, the bullpen has to be better. The bats have to be better. Pretty much everything has to be better as the Phillies prepare for Game 2. It's at 6:08 p.m. tonight from the bank. Jesus Luzardo gets the ball in Game 2. He faces off against Blake Snell, a lefty. So what will the Phillies do with the lineup? And will Harrison Bader be available? He got a clean MRI yesterday, but they're still not sure if he'll be able to play in Game 2. This Fanatic Phillies Insider Update is brought to you by Corona. Go ahead and turn any game into your own beach oasis with nice cold Corona this red October. Corona, the official cerveza of Major League Baseball. Drink responsibly. I'm Connor Thomas on your home of the MLB playoffs, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Attention.
Now, it's a great problem that they're 4-0. Like, you're 4-0. You should be happy as fans. We talked about this yesterday. But, yes, they are still trying to find themselves. They are still trying to figure out what this offense should look like. And the reason I get frustrated by this A.J. Brown conversation is because I do think it distracts from what the bigger issue is, which is this offensive line hasn't been good enough. This rushing attack hasn't been good enough. As much as I like Jalen Hurts, I don't think he has been good enough if your goal is to win another Super Bowl. The goal is not to start the season 4-0. The goal is to win a Super Bowl, and I think this team does need to improve offensively for that to happen. And quite frankly, I think that they will. They're too talented not to. But like you've been saying all offseason, AD, now's the time to start. Week 5 is when you should really start to identify what this offense is going forward. I keep hearing from a lot of people, oh, this is the 2023 offense all over again. Kevin Patullo, he's the next Brian Johnson. Things are going to be ugly. Now, the crazy thing is I went back and just looked at that 2023 season through the first 4 games, and my mind was blown. Now, I know things started to go south at the end of that season. A lot of it was defensively related. A lot of it was because they just couldn't figure out how to stop the blitz. But at least through the first 4 games, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'd kill for that offense right now. Listen to these numbers through the first 4 games of 2023 that everybody wants to compare this team to. They were averaging close to 400 yards of offense per game in those first 4. 392. They had close to 30 points a game at 29.5. Their passing offense was averaging over 225 yards. They were averaging 7 yards per pass attempt. Their rushing attack, 165 yards a game and a 4.7 yard per carry. They only had 11 sacks against, 4 turnovers. You compare that to what this team's doing, they're only averaging 252 yards. That's less than 150 yards from what you were doing in 2023. I mean, it really is crazy because everyone makes the comparison, but at least through the first 4 weeks, the 2023 offense was blowing this offense out of the water.
Well, first of all, the 23 and 2025 Eagles are nothing alike. You just rattled off the offensive numbers, but look at the defensive side of the ball. They did not have Vic Fangio. They had Sean Desai, they had Matt Patricia, and they had a very old and slow defense that was arguably the worst in football. It may have been the worst in football. The season sort of run together for me. But they also have a younger, athletic defense that continues to get better. Their assignment sound, they're fundamentally sound, and I believe what you're seeing now is going to be completely evolved to, you get to December or January, that defense is going to be firing on all cylinders. The offense is talented enough that they're going to figure it out. In my opinion, they're going to figure it out. And they're a better football team. So stop with the 2023, 2025 comparisons. This team is nothing alike.
I don't think they even compare, to be completely honest with you, because the one thing that I could remember very well was coming on the show and saying, wow, if such and such would have gone wrong, they would have lost that game. And most of it was defensively that season. that things could have been worse early on in that season, but everything kind of came to fruition anyways after they were 10-1 and things went downhill. It's not the same team. This is growing pains right now. That's the understanding you have to have. They gave us the definition of that last year. Saquon Barkley, I could remember his words perfectly. We're using these first 4 games as a preseason.
Yep.
Okay, so now, to me, is the grading time. You've gotten through those first 4 games. Now show up and do your jobs.
And part of the reason I wanted to do this exercise, where I read to people how good the offense was through the first 4 games, is because I want people to understand it is not how you start. It is how you finish. And the fact that offense really was dominant through the first 4 weeks, it didn't matter. I mean, we saw an epic collapse. We saw them get dominated in the wild card round down in Tampa Bay. It didn't matter. What matters is getting better every single week, and that's what you saw last year. You saw a 2-2
who was on the call for Game 1 on TBS.
How did he do, those who were listening?
Well, we couldn't hear where we were at.
So I wasn't listening to him. I know.
I'm sure he did great.
I'm sure Jeff does a good job.
Yeah.
But a lot of times announcers, you know what I didn't see? Boy, these announcers are really rooting against us.
Yeah, I didn't see much of that.
Didn't hear that, so that's good.
Well, that's because we're busy rooting against us.
Yeah, you're right. Frenchie will join us coming up at 9 o'clock to break down Game 1 and help us preview Game 2. Curious to get his opinion on some of the decisions made by Rob Thompson.
I know where he's going, so it'll be interesting. You're going to hear he will go there with all those answers.
All right, so we'll talk to Frenchie coming up at 9 o'clock. Now, today, the Phillies will be going up against Blake Snell. So later on, before we get out of here, we'll do all our predictions and everything. But what do you do tonight? So obviously, you're not benching any of the top of the guys at the order, even though they went 1 for 11. You're not benching Turner, Schwarber, or Harper. But we had the scary moment where Bader exits the game, needs to get an MRI. Fortunately, it was clean, but Rob Thompson said he's going to be available. But
yes,
it wasn't like, yeah, he's going to be back in the lineup. It was, he's going to be available either to start or come into the game.
I think Marsh is in center. I'm not expecting him to play.
I'm expecting him to be in the lineup.
I am too.
I'm expecting Bader to be back out there. You just have to really monitor, can he get to balls in the gap? Like, you're going to have to really monitor it.
What are you guys basing that on? Are you basing that on wishing?
It's the playoffs.
No, you're basing it on just wishing?
I'm basing it off of the playoffs.
Got a clean MRI. Manager says you're available. He strikes me as a guy who wants to be out there. He said he's going to do everything to be out there.
Yeah, I heard. He did say he's going to do everything he can to be out there. That, I don't know.
Look, it's playoffs. So to me, that's why he's out there.
That was a spectacular catch the other night.
Oh, incredible catch. Now
it was unbelievable.
Marsh, I'm guessing, is not playing tonight. Not starting at least.
He would be if Bader's not.
Right, but as soon as the lefty came into the pitch, Vesia, Edmundo goes out there to pinch hit. So are we about to watch a playoff game where Weston Wilson is your starting left fielder?
I have Marsh still out there tonight. I don't think they go unless Bader's unavailable, and then you have to play Weston Wilson in left and Marsh in center.
If you're going up against the Dodgers in a must-win playoff game and you got Marsh and Weston Wilson,
even if it's Bader and Weston Wilson, with all due respect to Weston Wilson, like Weston Wilson does not scream must-win Game 2 playoff game for me. So I'm going to guess again. It's not whether what we want; it's what has Rob Thompson been doing. And what Rob Thompson has been doing and the Phillies staff has been doing is left-handed pitcher on the mound. Weston Wilson plays left field. That's if Bader is available to go to start center field. Castellanos will be your right fielder. So you'll have JT behind the dish, Harper at first. I'm guessing Edmundo Sosa at second base.
Yeah.
Bohm at third, Turner at short, and then from left to right, it's Wilson, Bader, and Castellanos.
By the way, Bohm the other night, that walk was a really huge walk.
Yes, he took pitches.
He was the most patient I'd have ever seen him in a postseason game.
Yeah.
Because he had another good at bat where he took a bunch of pitches too.
Yeah, he had a solid night.
And then Casty coming up in that spot and swinging at the first pitch late in the game. I'm like, oh my gosh.
So what is it? Is it Turner, Schwarber, Harper, Bohm's your 4-hole hitter? Real Muto 5?
Yep. Real Muto 5. Yes.
Are you going Bader or Castellanos in the 6th spot?
Well, against a left-handed starter, you're going Castellanos, right?
Well, no, but who's batting sixth? Is it
That's
Bader
what I'm saying.
or
I would think you'd
Castellanos?
go Cat.
Sosa sixth.
I don't hate the idea, but I don't.
You're betting
I don't know
Sosa
if they
ahead
do.
of
I don't know if they
You're
do
betting
that.
Sosa ahead of Bader?
Yeah, well, they like Bader. The reason he was batting eighth is the balance out the bottom. I like Bader eighth or ninth.
So you would go Sosa.
You go
sixth,
Sosa, Castellanos,
seventh, Bader,
Sosa, Castellanos, Bader.
Sosa, Castellanos,
and then Wesley Wilson's
Marsh
batting
Wilson.
ninth. Well, no, that's if Marsh play. Like
if Marsh plays, I'm batting Marsh sixth.
Oof.
Because I
lefty?
want just in the middle because you'd have Bohm, Real Muto, Sosa, Castellanos, Bader. That's all righties. I do want a lefty in there so you don't have to wholesale pinch hit in case they go to a lefty out of the pen or a righty out of the pen, I should say.
Gotta put Marsh at the bottom.
Look, this is going to be a really interesting day when the lineup comes out.
I'm telling you. What we should feel by 1 o'clock, like 2 o'clock?
Yeah, something like that.
2 o'clock for a 6 o'clock start?
If Bader's in the lineup, that means he's good to go. And then you
That means
start
he's
looking.
giving it a go.
You start looking at who's in left, who's at second, what's the order. Look, there's no pull, no punches. You have to go for it.
Well, will Rob manage with urgency tonight, or like Dave Roberts did, or is he going to manage with, well, we can just meander our way?
Loyalty, man.
Yeah, be loyal.
All right, coming up next, our man Jeff Francoeur will join us to break down Game 1 and to preview Game 2 in what is a must-win game for the Phillies because, spoiler alert, if they go down 2-0, series is over. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
An 0-2 weekend. I'm Connor Thomas, and it was a tough weekend here in Philadelphia. The Eagles took their first loss of the season. The Phillies dropped Game 1 to the Dodgers, and both were blown leads. The Eagles fell 21-17 to the Broncos yesterday at the Link after being up 14 in the fourth quarter. They only had 11 rushing attempts in the game, so tough to run the clock out with the lead when you're not running the football. Jalen Hurts spoke after the game, though, about what the Eagles are capable of.
Yeah, it's not a capability thing. We don't have a capability issue. We know what we're capable of. We're just not doing those things yet. But we will. We will.
And with the talent on the roster, it's hard to argue, but man, they got to start figuring some stuff out. They got a short week as they take on the Giants in New York this Thursday. Thursday night football for the Eagles. Phillies fell to the Dodgers in Game 1 of the NLDS on Saturday. Game 2 is tonight, 6:08 p.m. Jesus Luzardo gets the ball for the Phils. Blake Snell for the Dodgers. Harrison Bader, who was removed from Game 1 due to injury, is potentially available for Game 2 tonight after a clean MRI yesterday morning. Keep you updated on that. In MLS news, the Union did win the Supporter Shield over the weekend, capturing the best regular season record in Major League Soccer. Jeff Francoeur will join us coming up next. This update is brought to you by Delaware County EDSI. Attention employers, fill your workforce fast. Join PA Career Links Fall Hiring Fest October 14th. Be qualified candidates, speed interview, hire on the spot. Register at pacareerlink.delco.org. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Kincade and Salciunas, 6 to 10 a.m. Middays with Marks, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And
It's been less than, I don't want to say impressive, but like it leaves you wanting more. It leaves you wanting more of the offense. It leaves you with the defense saying, yeah, they're not really getting to the quarterback. I would have to look at it and say, this is actually the best case scenario for where the Eagles are. The Eagles could possibly start the season. They haven't lost the game, and the players, the coaches, the fans, I don't think there's anybody that's associated with the Eagles right now that feels like they're playing great football. And they don't think that they don't have to play better if they're going to win another Super Bowl. So guess what? They're not satisfied. I'm not satisfied as a fan. The coaches sure as hell aren't satisfied, offensively and defensively. And the players can't be satisfied as well. And they're 4-0. And by the way, they're the best team in the NFL. And I don't think it's particularly close. So you legit get pleasure out of watching the Mets fall apart at the end of the season again?
I mean, doesn't everybody? I think it's funny. It's something to laugh about. But, I mean, when you play in the NL East for 10 years, and you got to listen to Mets fans, for that whole time. And now in horse racing up at Saratoga, they still like to run their mouths. So it still brings me joy to laugh at them.
Yeah, Jason, those times looking back where it's not often the Mets and the Phillies are good at the same time, right? And you experienced a little bit of that in the early portion. And those fans come down and they invade Citizens Bank Park, and they are so loud and obnoxious. And that was the beginning. We hadn't seen championship baseball in Philly since the 80s. And you guys ushered that back in. Just what a time to be alive, man. When you think about those days, because you came to Philly, you hadn't become the Jason Worth that we know right now. What's it like when you think about those days?
Yeah, well, look, I had a good start in LA my first year, and then I got hit in the wrist my first game of spring training in 2005, and didn't play, had surgery, didn't play all of 2006, and then I come to Philly in 2007, and I'm literally barely make the team. And it took Shane Victorino and
Aaron Rowan.
I'm drawing a blank. Took two guys to get hurt on the trade deadline for me to even get a chance to play. And then, Charlie Still was a little apprehensive to get me in there, but I played so good in August of 2007 when we really started our first run, and that was kind of my when I got a chance to play and coming out, and that's when we started to run down the Mets. So there was that big series at home, the 4-game series where we swept them, and that's when, for me, that's when Philly really came back alive with baseball, and it was that team that ultimately the next year won the World Series and ran down the Mets 2 years in a row. So that's where the whole kind of rivalry started. But you're right, they would come down, they'd invade Citizens Park, they're obnoxious. You go up there and you play 12 games a year up there, and you got to listen to them run their mouths. So it was sweet to be a Philly back in those days, and I'm proud of what we accomplished. And man, we had good teams, and here we are again with my guys Trey and Bryce are playing in Philly now, and they're kind of towards the end of their careers, and I guess they're still in their primes a little bit. But this is what it's all about, man. This is Philadelphia baseball in October, Red October. Let's go.
You're listening to 97.5, The Fanatic, WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia. Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibility. 10 o'clock following just a wonderful weekend of Philadelphia sports where the Phillies dropped Game 1 of the NLDS Saturday night, blowing a 3-0 lead. And the Eagles blowing a 2-score lead yesterday when they were up 17-3 at one point and decided to run the ball 2 times during that lead and not kill any clock whatsoever. And then before you know it, the Broncos come back and retake the lead. I'm glad that Andrew DeCecco brought it up when I asked him about the cornerback 2 spot. Sean Payton is still a bright, offensive-minded head coach. Do I believe he's a scoundrel? I do. The way he ran away from the Saints, and then, I retired. Oh, wait, I won the Cowboys job. Oh, wait, you gave the Cowboys job to somebody else? All right, I'll take the Denver job. I think he's a bit of a scoundrel, but he has an idea on how to run an offense, and that 2-point conversion was we know who to attack.
Correct.
And that person to attack is Keely Ringo. Oh, join us now on the Comcast Business Hotline.
Look, he's here early for us too.
I didn't know
appreciate
that
because I'd asked him 9, then I asked him like 9, then I asked him like 9:10, and he's flexible. Because even as a ex-athlete, he's still very flexible.
Well, he's on the Comcast Business Hotline where every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. He'll be on the call tonight again for Game 2 on TBS when the Phillies look to even the series against the Dodgers.
Saw him the other night down, got a chance to catch up before batting practice with Jeff Francoeur. Jeff, by the way, I got rave reviews. I asked how you did, and my Twitter feed filled up a little bit here, and people thought you did a great job the other night. Usually we bitch about broadcasters here in Philly, if you're not surprised.
What's up, guys? Good morning. How are you?
Good morning to you. A lot of people were pleased with your broadcast the other night, so it's good. What did you?
Well, I appreciate.
What did you see of the Phillies?
Man, look. At the end of the day, I got off to a great lead. JT Realmuto, man. I mean, he's one of my good friends in this game. So to see him be able to get that big hit, I loved it. look, the guy's getting older. He's catching every day, but still has the opportunity to come up with a big hit. I thought that was huge. But, there's so many decisions that go into this, right? And who do you bring in when? And do you leave Sanchez in? Do you do this? But at the end of the day, look, they faced Ohtani. And Ohtani, I think stuff-wise, probably the best pitcher in all of baseball. And, I just think, look, at the end of the day, the guy's got to come out for Philly and they got to hit tonight. You got your top three there in the lineup, and I get you're facing good pitching. But, if Teoscar Hernandez doesn't hit that home run and Philly wins, the narrative's the other way. The top three for the Dodgers, 0 for 12, if Teoscar doesn't hit that home run. So it's kind of where we're at. But I still think this Philly team, obviously, very capable of winning this series. And, they got Luzardo going tonight. And I told you, I think this has been a moment for 8 years in the build for him, from Oakland to Miami to here. Still probably the best offseason pickup maybe by any team. So I think Philly's still in fine shape.
Jeff, as we discussed yesterday, though, you and I had a chance to talk before you hit the cricket club, which, by the way, I hope you had a good day. The decision by Rob Thompson to do the up-down with Robertson made no sense to me because he did something that he didn't do all year long. So your thoughts on that decision to go back to Robertson, and what would you have done? Just, as you're looking at that series, what do you think the Phillies should have done in that situation?
It's so tough because I think what Topper was trying to do, right, was he got that out. You had the two righties in a row before the lefty. So, Kerkering had been struggling a little bit, so I don't think he wanted him to face Ohtani. I think my only question would be if Duran was available for a 4 or 5 out save, which we were told he was, right? Then do you bring Strom in to just start the 7th and you say, I'm getting 9 outs between these two guys? However I got to do. I hadn't pitched in 5 days. You got the off day. But again, right, like that's the chance you take. If Robertson, doesn't hit Will Smith, might be a totally different inning, but unfortunately he threw that pitch, it backed up. But I do think that's the tough thing, right? Robertson still is great, but he's 40, and you wonder the whole up-down for him, coming in with that emotion of closing out the door, but that's why it's tough. I think if Kerkering hadn't had the last couple months that he had, he'd probably been in that situation, no doubt. And Dave Roberts is no different on the other side with figuring out what he's got to do, and unfortunately for him, he had his Game 4 starter, and Glasnow down there to cover some outs. So, it's so there's so many different ways to skin a cat, and it's like he just wasn't able to get, and then Strom, give him credit, dude. He got Ohtani and got Betts, just couldn't get the last guy.
Did it cross your mind at all to use Ranger Suarez to start that inning after David Robertson ended the 6th?
It was not a horrible idea. It really is not. If you don't want Kerkering to have to face Ohtani and you didn't want to have to go to Strom yet, then you knew you had your lefty-on-lefty matchup. So, and if there's one guy on this team, starter-wise, that could do it, it's Ranger. I feel like he's very able to adapt to those things. But, again, it was a tough loss, but you know what? Philly's got to hit. And, we dig into this, 1-6 in the last 7 postseason games. They got to be able to hit.
I know this, Jeff, is that this team has appeared to have shrunk a bit under those bright lights. And they have got these stars, these numbers. I got some numbers for you here. Since they were up 2-0 in that NLCS versus Arizona in 2023, Harper's 7 for 32, Schwarber's 7 for 35, Turner's 5 for 37. That's untenable. They're 19 for 104. When you watch those guys, as a guy who batted in the major leagues, what do you see? Do you see guys that are pressing? Do you see guys that are in the moments a little too big? What are you seeing?
I think the biggest thing in the postseason is the ability to score runs without hitting the long ball. And I just think sometimes you get in that atmosphere, right? The fans get going, and everybody wants to hit the big hit. Everybody wants the big home run. I watched the end of that Seattle game, not last night. They were able to pull that one out, but the night before, and it was like every guy's trying to hit the long ball, and I go to Milwaukee, they scored in game 1. They scored 9 runs, guys. They did not hit a home run. They did not hit a home run. And this offense for Philly is plenty good enough to be able to not hit a home run and score runs. We saw it in that inning. They put 3 runs up with Real Muto. So, for them, they got to get back to not trying to do too much. I think those guys are feeling a little bit of pressure, and they're trying hard.
What would you do if you're Rob Thompson with the way you would use your rotation today? You mentioned Luzardo. You thought that was one of the better pickups in all of Major League Baseball. Is Luzardo a guy that you say, hey, we're going to ride him as long as we can? Or does Rob Thompson go with the plan that he's used in the past where he might go one time through the order, maybe a couple batters the second time because of the top of the order being so left-handed hitter friendly, and then you kind of just empty the bullpen because they need this win and you got a day off tomorrow?
Yeah, first of all, I'm telling you, I'm letting Luzardo go till he shows me he does not have it anymore. And, if you want to go back to game 1 when it's like bring Robertson, whatever, my honest opinion is I'd have kept Sanchez in the game. And I know Robertson was able to get Muncy out, but I liked the Sanchez versus Cole matchup better, right? Like, he knew if he bought the righty in that Muncy was going to come in. And, yes, he got out of it, but Sanchez threw one dumb pitch, that slider. I don't even want to say dumb. It was a mistake. And it kind of hung. Other than that fastball changeup combo was outstanding. And so I still think Sanchez had plenty to get call out on that last at bat. And then if he did well, you could throw him out there for 1 or 2 more hitters. So if Luzardo's going well tonight, I think the number one thing Thompson's got to say is let him continue to get outs until he can. Then you have to force the issue because in a perfect world, to me, if you can get Luzardo to go 6 1/3, 6 2/3, then you have Strom and you have Duran. You can use 3 guys, your 3 best guys available tonight in this ball game, and I think that's what you need to do if you're Philly.
I love the fact that we got to have a little conversation and hanging out with Freddie Freeman on Saturday before batting practice. Yeah. That was good. That was a little baseball clinic listening to you two cut it up a little bit. But I think the walk to Freddie Freeman's what drove me crazy the other night with Christopher. It's a 3-0 lead. You got 2 outs. How do you walk Freddie Freeman in that situation? Even if you challenge him and you give up a home run, it's only 3-1. Sometimes I don't understand nibbling against even the best hitters in the game, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Hey, I'm with you. And look, Freddie against Sanchez, for the years, John, you've known Freddie in Atlanta, he just, in that matchup, he's trying to shoot the ball the other way.
Absolutely.
Just like he did in that second inning. Remember, he's just
trying to stay alive. He's just trying to stay alive.
Yeah, exactly. That's not a guy to get big against. So I agree, and I think maybe that's what Rob saw. Maybe he thought because of that walk, he started to labor a little bit. Tommy Edman had a real nice at-bat shooting it the other way. But, to me, that's Tommy Edman is that guy that's going to put those type of ABs up. So, again, this Phillies team is good enough to win this series. We were talking at the cricket club yesterday. Of course, our caddies were in the best mood with the Eagles, and then about a span of 20 minutes from hole 10 to 13, I was like, oh crap! And I'm like, now the Phillies lost, the Eagles lost. I know this town. I'm like, shit. Now I'm going to get bad reads the rest of the round. But I think this narrative changes again, right? If Philly plays a clean, crisp game tonight, gets a couple big ABs, it's 1-1 headed back out to L.A. So, yes, you wanted to win both at home, but in this type series with these type teams, it's tough to take that 2-0 lead right now. I mean, I've told you this. It's probably 2 of the, outside of the Brewers and their style of play, which gives people trouble, these 2 most dominant teams in the National League. So you had to believe that coming into this was going to be a tight series. I actually called this series to go 5 games. I still think this series goes 5 games. I just think both these teams are too talented. And I got to believe, guys, that Turner, Schwarber, Harper at some point are going to turn this thing around. You know me, I bet on players. I've played against these guys. I've watched these guys, and they're too good not to get this thing going. And that's going to be their gig tonight. You want to talk about making a statement. have Luzardo get a clean first inning and come out and put 2-3 runs up with that top of the lineup. That's something to me to get this excitement, because I'll say this, the crowd was incredible the other night. They were into it again, no different than when I was here for 6 and 7 against the Diamondbacks. And it's kind of one of those things now the players kind of have to, hold their end of the bargain out.
How much do you value offense versus defense? Because today, Blake Snell on the mound for the Dodgers, what Rob Thompson's done the last month and a half of the regular season was, all right, Brandon Marsh, you're not playing. Bryson Stott, you're not playing. But you obviously take a little bit of a hit defensively. Sosa's not bad, but Weston Wilson, there's a clear fall-off in left field. How would you handle the lineup when it comes to tonight's matchup?
I would play Brandon Marsh tonight. I'd like to see Marsh in the lineup tonight, but I'd play Sosa to start too. That's just me. I like Sosa. I think, versus lefties, man, that's a really good guy to have in the lineup. It reminds me of what we talked about the other night with Tommy Edman, right? You might not get the big long ball or the double in the gap, but he's going to have put a good AB.
Yeah.
And he's got a chance to get a couple, singles, hard-hit balls tonight. There's some way about Marsh when a guy's swinging it good sometimes, man, that it's like, you know what, you take that opportunity. I've always said this, unless you have a platoon. I think about this when I was with the Rangers in 2010, and we went to the World Series. Me and David Murphy were platooning. And it was like you knew versus lefties, man, I had the best chance, and you knew versus righties, the way David Murphy swung the bat, he had a great chance. And so my whole thing is like with Marsh, unless you have someone that you just love, you're like, this guy is giving me something, I would like to see Marsh get that chance, and it keeps you better defensively. And, and it'll be interesting to see. I think a lot will depend, too, if Harrison Bader's in that lineup tonight. I think if he's in there, I think you keep Marsh in there.
You hearing any whispers on that, by the way? Because I heard he's going to try to give it a go.
Well, the thing I always worry about, right? Like, I think about this. In a playoff game, like, you would have to drag my you-know-what off the field. And so the fact that he left game one, I'm like, man, that thing had to be hurting. Now, again, you get the off day, right? And then you got an off day tomorrow. But, it was that was something that was not talked about enough, because he got robbed two at-bats. Castellanos had 2 at-bats, and Bader he got hit by a pitch, and he almost took Ohtani deep. I mean, he hit that ball all the way to the wall. So, I think for the Phillies, they need to try to have him in that game tonight.
See you tonight.
We appreciate the time, as
Jeff.
always, Frenchie. Thanks, man.
See you, brother.
Thanks, guys.
There he is, Jeff Francoeur on the Comcast Business Hotline.
He's the best.
Leading up to a must-win game 2.
It is must-win.
For the Phillies. My God.
There's no spin.
No.
It's must-win.
No. All right. Coming up next, we'll get, Jeff Francoeur was on just this past segment. We'll react to some of the things that Jeff Francoeur said, because I know Connor wants Brandon Marsh in the lineup today. How about that? It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
John Marks and Ray Dunn. Your middays will never be the same again.
The show for the people.
Middays with Marks. Every weekday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
What's up, guys? Andrew. Let's talk about some festivities today. It's been less than, I don't want to say impressive, but like it leaves you wanting more. It leaves you wanting more of the offense. It leaves you with the defense saying, yeah, they're not really getting to the quarterback. I would have to look at it and say, this is the best case scenario for where the Eagles are. The Eagles could possibly start the season. They haven't lost the game, and the players, the coaches, the fans, I don't think there's anybody that's associated with the Eagles right now that feels like they're playing great football. And they don't think that they don't have to play better if they're going to win another Super Bowl. So guess what? They're not satisfied. I'm not satisfied as a fan. The coaches sure as hell aren't satisfied, offensively and defensively. And the players can't be satisfied as well. And they're 4-0. And by the way, they're the best team in the NFL. And I don't think it's particularly close. So you legit get you get pleasure out of watching the Mets fall apart at the end of the season again?
I mean, doesn't everybody? I think it's funny. It's something to laugh about. But, I mean, when you play in the NL East for 10 years, and you got to listen to Mets fans, for that whole time. And now in horse racing up at Saratoga, they still like to run their mouths. So it still brings me joy to laugh at them.
Yeah, Jason, those times looking back where it's not often the Mets and the Phillies are good at the same time, right? And you experienced a little bit of that in the early portion. And those fans come down and they invade Citizens Bank Park, and they are so loud and obnoxious. And that was the beginning. We hadn't seen championship baseball in Philly since the 80s. And you guys ushered that back in. Just what a time to be alive, man. When you think about those days, because you came to Philly, you hadn't become the Jason Worth that we know right now. What's it like when you think about those days?
Yeah, well, look, I had a good start in LA my first year, and then I got hit in the wrist my first game of spring training in 2005, and had surgery, didn't play all of 2006, and then I come to Philly in 2007, and I'm literally barely make the team. And it took Shane Victorino and
Aaron Rowan.
No, God, I'm drawing a blank. Took two guys to get hurt on the trade deadline for me to even get a chance to play. And then, Charlie Still was a little apprehensive to get me in there, but I played so good in August of 2007 when we really started our first run, and that was kind of my when I had a chance to play and coming out, and that's when we started to run down the Mets. So there was that big series at home, the 4-game series where we swept them, and that's when, for me, that's when Philly really came back alive with baseball, and it was that team that ultimately the next year won the World Series and ran down the Mets 2 years in a row. So that's where the whole kind of rivalry started. But you're right, they would come down, they'd invade Citizens Park, they're obnoxious. You go up there and you play 12 games a year up there, and you got to listen to them run their mouths. So it was sweet to be a Philly back in those days. And
Final hour of Kincade Salciunas is presented to you by The Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. You need details? Go to Bagster.com.
It is 9:15 here on Kincade and Salciunas 97.5, The Fanatic. And now we have plenty of special guests because, Johnny, not only are we reacting to losses over the weekend, we have the excitement for a new season and an excitement for me at my house because I've told you my son wants to play for the Flyers. He's 3.5 years old.
He wants to play for the Flyers.
And he wants to play for the Flyers. He's already told me what his dream is. It's either being a helicopter pilot, a fire truck driver, or somebody for the Flyers. We don't know what position just yet.
Somebody for the Flyers.
We don't know what position just yet.
That is what I wanted.
He's never got on skates yet, so we don't know how that's going to go. Maybe he could be Gritty's best friend. I don't know. But we have in studio here Gritty and the voice of the Flyers for NBC Sports Philadelphia, Jim Jackson. Jim, good morning, man. How you doing?
So he doesn't want to be Jim Jackson.
What's that?
He doesn't want to be Jim Jackson.
Yeah, well, I'll be long gone by the time he could be Jim Jackson.
Cooper.
So if he wants it, go for it.
Go for it.
Gritty's best friend might be more fun, actually.
That does sound like a good time.
You get a lot of cake in the face, though.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, it does sound good. I'm hungry this morning.
So the Flyers season
if you're
starts.
hungry, you've come to the right place.
Oh, you brought food?
Yeah, we brought some food from the Xfinity Mobile Arena. I said it as many times as I can say it.
Well, yeah, you got to get used to that.
Get used to it.
Have you come up with a shortcut name, or is it you're trying to say the real name?
A lot of people are just calling it the X, I guess, but XMA. I don't know. I haven't found anything.
Gritty doesn't approve of any of the shortcut names.
No. So say the whole thing, Gritty.
He said, he's trying to keep the Bills
Mobile
getting
Arena.
paid.
It is.
Yes.
So the season starts on Thursday against the Panthers, but then we got the home opener against Florida, 3 games into the season, Monday, October 13th. And I know that building's going to be rocking as it is at the beginning of every single year. Tickets, by the way, still available for home games at PhiladelphiaFlyers.com. But the home opener presented by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar on Monday, October 13th. Look, I know it's still a rebuild. We've been seeing this for a couple of years, but every single year there's more and more to get excited. And, Jim, I got to ask you, calling Matvei Michkov on the ice has got to be a lot of fun for you.
It is. I tell people that, we do the games from up high, the booth up high, and the game looks easier up there. It's slower. All sports, the higher you get, the slower the game looks, so it looks easier. But I often think Matvei sees the game the way we're seeing it. Like, he sees people coming behind him for passes that I have no idea how he, like, does he have the eye in the back of his head, whatever. But bottom line is he's a phenomenal player, and we've added Trevor Zegras to the mix. He's just as phenomenal from a skill standpoint. So we're going to have some excitement this year with the goal scoring for sure. Got to get some saves from the goalies, get that power play going, and who knows what happens with this club.
What changes in approach under Rick Tocchet compared to playing for John Tortorella?
Yeah, he wants the team to hang on to the puck more. The Flyers over the last couple of years have been a very good rush team. They score off the rush. Michkov a big part of that. Konecny a big part of that. But he wants to see them when they get into the other team's zone to run that cycle game a little bit better. Have the puck. Create offense off of the forecheck. Create offense off of the cycle game. And obviously, if you're doing that, you're also helping your defense because you have the puck in the offensive zone. So that would be, I think, the biggest change from an overall stylistic standpoint. He's more of a communicator. John Tortorella is, old school, and it's like, if you have a problem, come see me. Rick Tocchett's more likely to reach out to you if he has a problem and talk it over with you. So more communication. Perhaps.
Don't mistake that, though, for he's a softie.
Exactly.
Compared to,
I keep hearing this about, they got a soft touch. No, did you watch Rick Tocchet play? He's not a soft touch.
No, he's not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I think Gritty would very much appreciate the approach of Rick Tocchet.
No doubt. Gritty he's got old school in him with modern way of thinking.
So I know the tagline this year is brick by brick. I always love the tagline at the beginning of a season for any team. Are we at the point where we've passed the foundation at least, right? You've seen young players.
Well, you put the bricks above the foundation.
Right, so we're past foundation.
On to the bricks.
How many bricks have we laid down so far in this year?
We've got the first level covered because we do have one of the youngest teams in the NHL now, and they are getting better. Guys like Tyson Forster, Noah Cates, they're taking that next step. Cam York at a bump last year. I think he's going to really bounce back this year. And then there's a whole pipeline of players coming now, which is that foundation which they've laid. We've gone through the subtraction mode. They've gotten rid of players they didn't feel would fit in, and now it's into the addition mode through the draft. And then I think the final step will be when management feels this team is close enough, you start adding veterans to the mix. We're not quite there yet, but if this team surprises around the trade deadline, maybe they add a player. I don't think they're going to start adding 35-year-old players, just not right. But they're still going to be looking to add players. And then next summer, the Flyers made a trade yesterday to free up even more cap space. Next summer, they should have a good amount of cap space. There's some pretty big names that possibly could be free agents that they might be in position to go after. So we're to the addition part now, and then full steam addition will be when they feel the team is within a player or two of being a Stanley Cup contender. The big thing is they aren't building toward making the playoffs one year, missing the next. Right. They're building toward being in the playoffs every year and when we're at this time of year, early October, the Flyers are considered one of the contenders for the Stanley Cup. Like Colorado has been that for 20 years. Tampa Bay.
Be in the mix a long time.
Every year. Yeah. And that's what they're building towards. You can't build that way by going for quick fixes.
And I like that Gritty absolutely got dry cleaned.
You can tell.
That's good.
I can tell.
He takes showers. Come on. Gritty's got his own shower.
Gritty got dry cleaned this summer.
There you go.
I have a question for Gritty.
It's the beginning of the year. It's a fresh new year.
I have a question for Gritty because a couple of weeks ago we had some great drop-offs because of the Xfinity Mobile Arena. There was a Franklin stuffed animal dropped off and also a Gritty. Yeah. And every time I'm in the base with my son, he wants me to chase him around with Gritty. Does that make you feel good? What good? All right, good.
Yes.
So Gritty
likes to chase people. We got the squeak of approval.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Jim.
He has his own corner, right?
Yes.
The chaos corner.
Yeah, he's got his own corner.
Gritty, at the draft night, there was a Gritty rubber ducky that was on the table.
That's right.
We brought it home, and our dog Nikki Foles I can say, where's Gritty? She can go to her toy box
a good dog right
and
there.
dig and find Gritty.
Really?
She knows
Gritty, that's the one.
Gritty is her toy now.
See, Gritty? You are a favorite of young kids and
dogs.
And also
named
animals.
after Nikki Foles.
Well, the season starts Thursday.
Dog?
No, we do not yet. No. We should.
Season starts Thursday. Home opener Monday, October 13th. Yeah. We're going to be following. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's another layer of bricks this season for the Flyers, and we're getting excited. I can't wait to watch more of Matt.
And there is fine food, which we brought some for you.
We're gonna have to check that out.
Various style pretzels, cookie fries, brownies from Desserts by Dana. We
Fudge
have some for
brownies.
you here, and they are at the arena.
That's
you
great.
guys know now when you go to the arena, it's not like just getting a hot dog anymore.
No,
right?
no. You're
There's
getting
so many different kinds of foods.
exquisite foods. Can't wait. Jim,
Anyway.
thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Jim.
Gritty,
All right,
thanks for
guys.
coming in
Thanks,
as well.
Grit.
Flyer starts on
baby.
Thursday. We can't wait for it. Coming up next, Connor will give his 3 observations from the rest of the NFL, and we'll check our text messages as well, because our question for you today is, do we have problems? Well, the answer is yes, but you tell us which ones you want to talk about. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A miserable sports weekend. I'm Connor Thomas, and it was a tough weekend here in Philly with the Eagles taking their first losses of the season. The Phillies dropping Game 1 to the Dodgers. Eagles fell 21-17 to the Broncos yesterday at the Link, so they're now 4-1, and they only had 11 rushing attempts in the game. They gave up a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. It did not end well for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts talked after the game about the team's performance.
Yeah, it's not a capability thing. We don't have a capability issue. We know what we're capable of. We're just not doing those things yet. But we will. We will.
It'd be nice to see him show it more consistently. Maybe we'll get that Thursday night. A short week for the Eagles. They take on the Giants up in the Meadowlands. Thursday night football for the Birds. The Phillies fell to the Dodgers in Game 1 of the NLDS on Saturday. Game 2 is tonight at 6:08 p.m. Jesus Luzardo takes the ball for the Phils. Blake Snell for the Dodgers. Harrison Bader, who was removed from Game 1 due to injury, is potentially available for Game 2. He got a clean MRI yesterday morning, so that's good news. We'll see if he's in the lineup for tonight. In soccer news, the Union won the Supporters' Shield over the weekend, capturing the best regular season record in Major League Soccer. This update is brought to you by the International Hot Rod Association. International Hot Rod Association and Duran Hybrid, where the roar of the engine meets the torque of the wrench, building champions on the track and in the trades. Get your tickets at ihra.com. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
The Philadelphia Phillies, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
It's been less than, I don't want to say impressive, but like it leaves you wanting more. It leaves you wanting more of the offense. It leaves you with the defense saying, yeah, they're not really getting to the quarterback. I would have to look at it and say, this is actually the best case scenario for where the Eagles are. The Eagles could possibly start the season. They haven't lost the game, and the players, the coaches, the fans, I don't think there's anybody that's associated with the Eagles right now that feels like they're playing great football. And they don't think that they don't have to play better if they're going to win another Super Bowl. So guess what? They're not satisfied. I'm not satisfied as a fan. The coaches sure as hell aren't satisfied, offensively and defensively. And the players can't be satisfied as well. And they're 4-0. And by the way, they're the best team in the NFL. And I don't think it's particularly close. So you legit get pleasure out of watching the Mets fall apart at the end of the season again?
I mean, doesn't everybody? I think it's funny. It's something to laugh about. But, I mean, when you play in the NL East for 10 years, and you got to listen to Mets fans, for that whole time, and now in horse racing up at Saratoga, they still like to run their mouths. So it still brings me joy to laugh at them.
Yeah, Jason, those times looking back where it's not often the Mets and the Phillies are good at the same time, right? And you experienced a little bit of that in the early portion. And those fans come down and they invade Citizens Bank Park, and they are so loud and obnoxious. And that was the beginning. We hadn't seen championship baseball in Philly since the 80s. And you guys ushered that back in. Just like, what a time to be alive, man. When you think about those days, because you came to Philly, you hadn't become the Jason Worth that we know right now. What's it like when you think about those days?
Yeah, well, look, I had a good start in LA my first year, and then I got hit in the wrist my first game of spring training in 2005, and didn't play, had surgery, didn't play all of 2006, and then I come to Philly in 2007, and I'm literally barely make the team. And it took Shane Victorino and
Aaron Rowan.
I'm drawing a blank. Took two guys to get hurt on the trade deadline for me to even get a chance to play. And then, Charlie still was a little apprehensive to get me in there, but I played so good in August of 2007 when we really started our first run. And that was kind of my when I had a chance to play and coming out, and that's when we started to run down the Mets. So there was that big series at home, the 4-game series where we swept them, and that's when, for me, that's when Philly really came back alive with baseball, and it was that team that ultimately the next year won the World Series and ran down the Mets 2 years in a row. So that's where the whole kind of rivalry started. But you're right, they would come down, they'd invade Citizens Park, they're obnoxious. You go up there and you play 12 games a year up there, and you got to listen to them run their mouths. So it was sweet to be a Philly back in those days, and I'm proud of what we accomplished. And man, we had good teams, and here we are again with my guys Trey and Bryce are playing in Philly now, and they're kind of towards the end of their careers, and I guess they're still in their primes a little bit. But this is what it's all about, man. This is Philadelphia baseball in October. Red October. Let's go.
You're listening to 97.5, The Fanatic, WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia. Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibilities. That's Jason Worth. I'm gonna give you play on the horse racing stuff, so don't worry about that because I'm fascinated with what you're doing right now. But yeah, so I was curious about this because we talk about this a lot with your teams, and I know you left. You left after 2010, right? That was your final season. Yeah. So 2007, you make the playoffs, get swept by the Rockies. 2008 World Series. 2009, go back to the World Series, lose to the Yankees, and then 2010, that was the Giants. You had a really good team that year too. That was the Giants loss in 2010. Wait, so all else being equal, and you won a World Series in 2008. What do you believe the best team was? If 2008 played 2009 or 2010 played 2007, of those teams that you played on, what was the best team that you played on?
The 9 and 10 teams, I think, were built to win more so than 7 and 8. You could probably even say the 11 team that I wasn't on was probably the best team. They had, I left, and at some point they went and got Hunter Pence.
All right, so give us a text message, Connor, first and foremost, and then we'll get your 3 observations from the rest of the NFL. Our question today is, today's been a day where you just vent, voice your frustration with the Philadelphia sports scene from over this weekend. A loss for the Phillies in Game 1 of the NLDS, a loss for the Eagles yesterday, the first of the season. Our question is, do we have problems? And the answer is yes. We just wonder what problems are number one for you, and that's why I haven't even told Connor what team I want to hear from. Just what do we got?
Yeah, Troy from Lancaster agrees with the problems thing, and it's every team for him. So he says, definitely experienced a weekend of hell in the sports world. Phillies lost due to the bullpen being crap. Eagles lost because of horrible play calling and miscues on offense. Oh, and don't forget Penn State getting beat by 0-4 UCLA. This Monday can't be any more depressing.
Yeah, I can only imagine what it was like if you were also a Penn State fan this weekend, because losing to UCLA, where that team's been a joke, that
sort of was the happiest thing that happened this weekend.
Well, no, Temple being the Roadrunners, man.
No, that was great.
7.5-point dogs, and I called them outright.
That was great.
Winner.
That was great.
By the way, I'm wearing a Sixer shirt today because I figured who else?
Yeah, I got to tell you.
Who else can cause pain for me today?
I have to bring this up.
I did it jokingly, but go ahead.
No, I'm not. I'm not happy with either you or Connor.
Yeah, because I'm not going to put on a Philly shirt when I go to my event today at Top Tomato, 11th Street.
Yeah, that event's it. That event's it. I know you'll have it on by then. I was a little disappointed that you guys weren't wearing Philly stuff today.
Did they earn it?
Yes. It's the freaking NLDS.
No, this is just a joke shirt though, because who else can hurt me? That's why I.
He didn't want to get hurt. He said that was it. I get.
No. I don't want to get hurt. This team hurts me all the time.
No, I get you.
And so who else wants to hurt me? It was nice having Jim Jackson and Gritty.
I'm just a little surprised. I was just like, I wanted you guys to,
I'll send you a picture when I put my Philly shirt on.
You're very positive people. The two of you are usually pretty positive.
I'll send you a picture when I put on my Philly shirt.
I knowingly said this morning, red is going on. I laid it out from last night. Red is going
There's
on.
There's red on the shirt.
Yeah, I woke up and the last thing I wanted to do was put on something Eagles or Phillies related.
There's red on the Nike swoosh.
But tomorrow morning when they win, you're going to be right back on the bandwagon?
Absolutely. When they win, we celebrate.
Yes, it is. It is if you put it on tomorrow morning.
You really going to go bandwagon on us on a day like today?
Because of clothing.
Yes, it is.
What are your 3 observations?
All right, let me hit football music.
What do you got?
All right. So I got to be honest right here, but give you a little slack because you guys look like all of mine in your 6 that you've done so far. So
that's
Sorry about that.
The benefit of going first and second.
Fair. But at least we're all on the same page there as far as that's concerned. First one here. I need J.J. McCarthy to be healthy because the Vikings have gotten something going offensively with Carson Wentz. Now, I'm not worried about Carson Wentz beating the Eagles compared to, like, good NFL quarterbacks. But if you had to ask me right now who I want to see the Eagles play against in Week 7, I'd rather see J.J. McCarthy
I'm
under
just
center.
saying, look, it's not just McCarthy and Wentz. That Vikings defense is not as good as Denver's, but not far off. And if the Vikings defense can keep a subpar Eagles offense at bay, which the Eagles offense has been subpar this year, right? We all agree? 5 weeks, subpar offense.
Yes.
Some good halves, but not good games. This Vikings defense could take care of this Eagles offense, and if Carson Wentz has a couple of drives, Bo Nix, it's not like Bo Nix was spectacular yesterday. He was just good when it counted most.
Yeah,
I hear you, Con.
That's a really putrid Browns team that they took the lead on with, what, a minute to go?
Defense is real
I
Browns
got you.
defense is
They were
really,
trailing
really
with a minute to go?
Yeah.
I mean,
that Browns defense is really good.
I got you. That's a bad Browns team.
Yeah, listen, they beat the
surprising.
Packers.
They kept the Packers to 10 points.
Okay.
You know.
All right, next up, have you guys gotten your tickets in for the future MVP of the NFL? Because he might play in Indianapolis.
Josh Allen.
I was seeing Jackson Dart in the first quarter yesterday.
Daniel Jones is putting together a season for the Colts, man. They put up 40 yesterday. Is he actually going to be in the MVP conversation?
He will,
should be.
And if he doesn't win MVP, he'll win the Comeback Player of the Year award because it's not just based off of injury. We've seen it over the last couple of years where you could just have not a good season. Did Sam Darnold win it last year?
He did. Did he?
I don't remember.
He may have won last year. And remember we were making the joke of what did he come back from?
Himself?
Playing for the Jets?
Well, that's a big part of it. But yeah, if he doesn't win the division, the MVP, he'll probably win Comeback Player of the Year. Burrow won it last year because of the injury, but Sam Darnold was a nominee.
All right, the last thing I got for you here is kind of an all-encompassing, but the NFL is super wide open. It's not just the NFC. It's not just the Eagles' path. Everything's open. I mean, you look last night, the Bills lose a home game to the Patriots.
Yeah.
The Ravens are an absolute mess. The Panthers are beating teams. The Saints are beating teams. Like it's all over the place in the NFL right now.
If you had listened to me on Friday, you would have known the Saints are going to win.
Yeah, well, listen, seeing it versus hearing you say it,
it's all right.
In reality, though, you are absolutely correct, and the league is.
Giants.
The Chargers scored 10 points.
It was an ugly game. It was ugly.
A very ugly game.
There's just a lot of weird stuff going on, and there's no team taking the reins in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Bills are still going to be really good. Look, the Eagles are still going to be really good. It's just the Bills 4-1 feels a lot different than the Eagles.
The Lions 4-1
because we're not Bills fans.
How's the Lions 4-1?
The Lions 4-1, yeah.
Yeah, 40 points a game.
There was a lot of overreaction after week 1.
By the way, Bet Parks, thanks to Bet Parks for our pick segment.
Yeah.
Doing great.
Tell the people what took place.
Yeah, Andrew went 2-2.
Not great, but
he's 10-10.
Standard is the standard.
Connor with the first Shankosaurus of the year.
So what's his record?
He's 10-10.
Oh,
he's 0-4.
Oh,
I am 1-2 heading into tonight. I have the Jags plus 3.5 at home. I'm 12-7, waiting the outcome of that. So I will have at least a 2-game lead, maybe a 3, depending on tonight.
You're not who I'm worried about the rest of the year, Johnny.
Who are you worried about?
I just need to bury Connor after he laughed at my slow start. When I supported both you all last year, despite being the champion of the show.
Connor and I were united on that one. It's like we're both trying to win. So I'm not rooting for each other.
Bro. You woke up a sleeping giant, and you went
about that. You went 2-2.
You're 500. I didn't wake up anything.
500 after starting what 2-6.
Thanks, Bet Parks. We appreciate you. You were 2-6, and now you're 10-10. Thanks, Bet Parks. We appreciate you.
Late bloomer. All right, coming up next, we will preview tonight's game heavily. They got to sell out to win.
There is a sellout. It is a sellout.
We'll check the text line, but there was a recipe to win game 1. They didn't follow it. I believe there's a recipe for game 2. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Whether you're at the job site, sitting...
it's been less than, I don't want to say impressive, but like it leaves you wanting more. It leaves you wanting more of the offense. It leaves you with the defense saying, yeah, they're not really getting to the quarterback. I would have to look at it and say, this is the best case scenario for where the Eagles could possibly start the season. They haven't lost the game, and the players, the coaches, the fans, I don't think there's anybody that's associated with the Eagles right now that feels like they're playing great football. And they don't think that they don't have to play better if they're going to win another Super Bowl. So guess what? They're not satisfied. I'm not satisfied as a fan. The coaches sure as hell aren't satisfied, offensively and defensively. And the players can't be satisfied as well. And they're 4-0. And by the way, they're the best team in the NFL. And I don't think it's particularly close. So you legit get pleasure out of watching the Mets fall apart at the end of the season again?
I mean, doesn't everybody? I think it's funny. It's something to laugh about. But, I mean, when you play in the NL East for 10 years, and you got to listen to Mets fans, for that whole time. And now in horse racing up at Saratoga, they still like to run their mouths. So it still brings me joy to laugh at them.
Yeah, Jason, those times looking back where it's not often the Mets and the Phillies are good at the same time, right? And you experienced a little bit of that in the early portion. And those fans come down and they invade Citizens Bank Park, and they are so loud and obnoxious. And that was the beginning. We hadn't seen championship baseball in Philly since the 80s. And you guys ushered that back in. Just what a time to be alive, man. When you think about those days, because you came to Philly, you hadn't become the Jason Worth that we know right now. What's it like when you think about those days?
Yeah, well, look, I had a good start in L.A. my first year, and then I got hit in the wrist my first game of spring training in 2005, and didn't play, had surgery, didn't play all of 2006, and then I come to Philly in 2007, and I'm literally barely make the team. And it took Shane Victorino and
Aaron Rowan.
No, God, I'm drawing a blank. Took two guys to get hurt on the trade deadline for me to even get a chance to play. And then, Charlie Still was a little apprehensive to get me in there, but I played so good in August of 2007 when we really started our first run, and that was kind of my when I got a chance to play and coming out, and that's when we started to run down the Mets. So there was that big series at home, the 4-game series where we swept them, and that's when, for me, that's when Philly really came back alive with baseball, and it was that team that ultimately the next year won the World Series and ran down the Mets 2 years in a row. So that's where the whole kind of rivalry started. But you're right, they would come down, they'd invade Citizens Park, they're obnoxious. You go up there and you play 12 games a year up there, and you got to listen to them run their mouths. So it was
Monday morning. Unfortunately, I can't say undefeated Monday morning anymore. Still championship.
Yes,
Monday
you can.
Morning. Presented to us by our friends at Local Bryant Home Comfort Team. Visit nopayBryant.com to keep your HVAC in the starting lineup. The football Monday and NLDS Monday will continue with Middays with Marks. That comes your way at 10 o'clock. I mentioned it a couple of times in the reads, but I want to say to the audience listening right now, you can join Connor and I for a pregame party for today. 4 to 6, Top Tomato in Center City. It's 11th Street. I love it there. A really cool spot. Been there a couple of times for work. Been there a couple of times. Just my wife and I going. It's a good spot, good food, good place to hang out. So from 4 to 6, we'll be there. And then Wednesday night, we have another watch party at Kavanaugh's in Rittenhouse. It was so much fun on Saturday. It's just a shame that the game went the way that it did. You were in the press box yesterday, so you did not have to deal with something that freaking drove me up a wall.
Oh, I hope it's the same thing as me.
Over and over and over again yesterday.
What, Tony Romo?
No, how many plays were run yesterday? Just guess.
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's just
80,
say
90?
Let's say 90 plays. I thought there were 90 flags.
The dumbest thing in the world.
So, Johnny, I don't know if you've noticed it all in other games this year, but this was the first CBS Eagles game, right? So
okay.
And it's not red zone, like we're watching the game.
I've watched red zone games that were CBS.
Sure.
style.
No, but you're not watching play after play after play.
Right.
So their new score bug.
Oh, the bug. Yes.
At the end of every play, so let's say Saquon Barkley rushes for 2 yards because that's pretty much his average this year. Saquon Barkley rushes for 2 yards on 1st and 10 to make it 2nd and 8. When they would change the graphic from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 8, they would flash it yellow first.
Why do they do that?
So every play you think there's a flag being thrown. It was freaking driving me crazy yesterday. And then at the end of the game, when there were a lot of issues with the penalty flags, either being called or not, at the end of every play, from the first quarter on, I thought there was a flag. To the point where I had to stop looking at it. I would wait until they were about to line up for the next play to see what the down and distance was.
That's surprising.
It was so annoying, dude.
Every single play?
Every play. That's how that was. Think of you're doing PowerPoint and you would do this like the swipe in or something like that.
Wow, that's really
That's
crazy.
how they transitioned every down and distance was a flash of yellow. And right? Did you pick up on it too?
Absolutely. It
You think
bothered
there's
me the whole game.
You think there's a flag on every play? Really annoying.
Whoever did that, like, honestly, find a new job.
So
Like, I'm sorry.
I saw a great tweet from somebody because
it looks like a busy screen to me.
Yeah, it's
like CBS's looks a little busy. A lot going on.
I complained about it on social media, obviously, because that's where you go to complain. And at Young_Max, goes, it's so insane. Whoever made it has never sweated a football game before. And I agree. It's probably some graphics person that doesn't really care about sports and does not realize that yellow means flag. Right? Like,
well, it is, and it really is, and it pops up. Now, Fox has the flag yellow.
Yeah.
When the flag thing comes up, it's yellow.
So does CBS when there's an actual flag on the play. But when there's no flag on the play, you can't be flashing yellow stuff on the screen because
that's
everybody's
really bad.
brain immediately goes to, oh, there's a penalty.
That's really bad.
That's just me, me complaining.
That's why
that
they
works.
lost.
Yeah,
By the
that's
way,
why they lost.
By the way, was Tony Romo like absolutely awful, or like people were?
I don't, and I always have to say this. It has nothing to do with the Cowboy stuff. I'm not a fan of his. It's too much for me. He's over the top all the time. And he was very annoying at times yesterday. And he was just saying things again. Remember there was that report last year that people disputed saying, no, he's there all the time. He's professional. He's on. Remember there was that report that he like shows up to the games unprepared?
Who, Tony?
Yeah. There was a report. We talked about it on the air last year. It was like a Marshawn report or whatever. You know, he's saying something to the extent of, man, I bet you the Broncos wish they never got rid of Zach Bond. And it's like, what? Played for the Saints.
I get New Orleans and Denver mixed up
all
sometimes.
the time. There was a play where he was saying how Hurts should have thrown the ball earlier. And I'm like, you have the luxury of watching a replay. If he threw it where you told him to throw it, it would have been intercepted. Like, he just had a really weird day yesterday. And he's always got to make the noises. I'm not a Tony Romo fan.
Tony doesn't bother me much, and I think Nance does a good job usually. So, but I don't get a ton of Nance Romo games. So I guess unless it's the Bills and the Ravens and things like that.
Like, I'm the weird one that doesn't understand that Collinsworth hates so much. I don't mind Chris Collinsworth.
I don't mind Chris Collinsworth.
Tony
either.
Romo drives me.
I get a lot of. I got to tell you this: there's never a game that Chris Collinsworth works that I don't learn something about football, and that's his job.
Yeah.
And to me, I think people just have gotten the talking point of Collinsworth sucks.
Yeah, which he
in their head. But and you may dislike him, but I learned something from Chris Collinsworth. So I like it.
The big thing that obviously Romo exploded on the scene when he was predicting plays. And
you notice he doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah, because he's been out of the league. And oh, by the way, I've said this a couple of times.
What's that?
All these guys know what's happening. They just weren't the ones doing it. Like Chris Collinsworth, 3 weeks into that season, was predicting plays because they know football. All of them. They were in the league. Whatever. All right, what do we got on the text line, Connor?
Nothing good, but I mean, a lot of people are annoyed, so it is what it is. I'm not saying they're bad
all right,
text, just angry text. This texter checks in and says, Schwarber, Turner, Bohm, Bader, 0 hits. Harper, 1 hit. Once again, the bats are going to sleep in the playoffs. Need to hit the ball in the big spots and get runs to beat the LA Dodgers lineup. Not on Rob Thompson.
They just got to get hot, remember? Dave Dombrowski. They just got to be hot at the right time.
That is not on Rob Thompson, correct. Those guys not hitting is not on Rob Thompson. But again, I will tell you again, 44% of the postseason games this year have been won with 3 runs scored or less. They got 3 runs the other night. They could have won the game with 3 runs, but your manager mismanaged the game.
I agree.
Period. You had enough runs to win. Yes, we would all want them to score more runs. All want that. We all agree on that. There were enough runs scored the other night to win that game, and you blew it because your manager, again, did things he didn't do all season long.
What else we got on the text line, Connor?
All right, first-time texter you're checking in, Dan from Lehigh Valley, and says, A.J. Brown is a captain, and his leadership is being destructive to the entire team morale right now. 3rd year in a row again with this, and Hurts is most likely tired of this, and other players can see it.
Yeah, the guy earlier that said I didn't know football and then disappeared, he's back. Yeah, everybody in the world is saying that A.J. Brown stopped running on that route.
He stopped running. Wait a minute. All you have to do is just watch the video. He stopped running. He quit on the route.
And everybody that covers football, knows more about football than I do, is saying the exact same thing.
Well,
and to just defend A.J. Brown because he's frustrated is not the right way to go about it.
If you're frustrated with somebody else on the job, if I said to Scott Mastelli, Scott, I'm pissed that Andrew's not doing this at work. And I'm pissed that Connor's not doing this at work.
Happens every morning.
I sure as hell better have nothing in my cupboard.
Sure.
That Scott's going, well, John, what about you not doing this?
Yeah.
What about you not doing that? And A.J. Brown, your locker ain't clean, dude.
Well, and that's
it's not clean.
And
you know
why...
what? But it's like everybody walks on eggshells around this guy. And by the way, if I get one more email from someone going, John, and now 3 this morning, John, your insensitivity. Okay, this is the one, the insensitivity one. Your insensitivity towards A.J. Brown and these issues is totally ignorant of the mental health community. He's a guy who has told you over and over that he suffers from mental health issues. Yet you feel its relentless need to bang the drum, to criticize A.J. Brown. He tells you he has mental health struggles, and you constantly have to point out where he might have a misstep here or there. I can't deal with it.
No, he deserves to be criticized.
The NFL has resources like you wouldn't believe for people who have mental health issues. If he's got mental health issues, he can get help with them anytime. He can get help with them anytime. You know what they would also
that's not saying that he doesn't. Like that's
no, but he does. But again,
I don't have the mental health conversation because
but he can do is he can put down the phone too. He can do things to help his own mental health, so he's not as frustrated. The Eagles have resources for him.
Yes,
we don't have to have that conversation as talk show host. It's a job.
Right. No, what we're pointing out is when a guy is frustrated and puts out something on social media, and we said it's counterproductive, and then you have a moment that you have this past Sunday where you're not finishing a route, it goes back to the tweet of, hey, if you're going to put out a tweet like this, you then have to back up your own play. Look, if he never put out the tweet, we said this earlier, in case people are just tuning in, if he never put out that tweet and that route happens, sure, we're still pointing it out going, damn, come on, bro, like you could have won the game if you made that play, if you kept running, if you finished your route. But because he was the one that vocalized frustrations literally 1 week earlier, he can't have that happen.
These listeners are pointing out he vocalized it in a tweet because of the fact that he has issues and he can't vocalize it. So he has to find his vehicle, and you're being critical of it. And I'm like, I can't deal with it. That you're not a mental health professional. And if he needs help with that, he can get help with it. The Eagles offer it free of charge to every NFL player.
All right, tonight. I do believe there's a recipe for tonight. And I know Frenchie said go as long as you can with Luzardo. If he's dealing, yeah. But I'd empty the bullpen today.
Oh, my gosh. Explain this.
I'm doing the Ranger game from against the Braves. I'm selling out to win this game. You had a day off yesterday. You have a day off tomorrow.
But that means you trust the bullpen.
Well, if he can go 4 innings, Bueller gives you one plus.
Okay, so you're going to a guy who I don't consider Bueller. I consider Bueller a starter.
All right, no, but he's in the bullpen. Yeah, so if Luzardo goes 4 1/3, I'm seeing it all over Major League Baseball, right?
They're
if he goes
going
4
to
1/3,
starters.
Bueller goes 1 1/3, so that would be.
He could go longer than that.
We'd be in. You're going to do it matchup based. Then you bring in a Strahm for the lefties. Then you bring in a Duran for 2. I would go Duran an inning plus tonight. if the game calls for it.
If you need 5 outs, you go 5 outs. If you need 6 outs, you go 6 outs.
Yeah, I can take Luzardo out in the 5th inning and still only use forearms because of Buehler's ability to extend.
The only guy that I would not touch tonight is Ranger.
Oh, yeah, because you need
he's throwing the next game.
The only guy I'm not touching is Rangers. So Rangers, well, obviously, and not Christopher Sanchez.
Yeah, but the one good thing they did that I really liked about, they used Duran in a 2-run deficit game, which shows you they're not afraid to go there in any spot.
Cancer research, please, Johnny.
Yeah, please
Tell us
do
about
that. Hey, our friends H&H Heating and Air Conditioning made a donation to the AACR, and you can too. Go to 975thefanatic.com/AACR because I'm living proof that cancer research saves lives.
Damn right
Can
you
it save
do,
the Phillies tonight? Do you expect a win tonight? I expect a Castellanos-type win like they did against the Mets last year. Not a clean win, not a beautiful win, but I expect tomorrow morning we will be talking about a 1-1 series.
I sure hope so, Johnny. Everybody have a great rest of your day. I don't feel great. Johnny Marks, Middays with Marks comes your way next here on 97.5 The Fanatic.